Hello everyone, welcome back to Ask a Scientist Gaming, where we combine mediocre gameplay with expert level science. I'm Ken Hansen, Associate Professor in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. I do all things light-matter interaction, photons driving chemical processes, light to do things like catalysis and generate electricity. But more importantly, joining me today is Dr. Rob Tomko. Rob, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Hi, I'm Rob Tomko. I am an associate professor in the Department of Biomedical Sciences at the Florida State University College of Medicine. My laboratory is interested in a variety of things, but they all basically are focused on how the cells in your body get rid of protein waste that they no longer need, and how these processes go wrong in certain diseases.
All right, equally important, what game are we starting with?
You know what? Why don't we go in numerical order and start with number 2?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mega Man 2. Here it comes, 1988, the original release. We skipped Mega Man 1.
Yep.
That's personal preference.
It's I appreciate it for what it was, but it was not the best entry in this catalog.
I should look up how many games are actually in the Mega Man series, because it's over like 20 now.
I remember buying this when I was like 7 and realizing that Mega Man had hair, as you can see here, and it blew my mind. This is my first time I saw him without a helmet. And then the helmet just comes out of nowhere and he takes off into space. Why not? All right.
Oh, Bronco, welcome back to the stream. You also use the drink command. Yes, we are drinking Bell's Two Hearted Ale. This is Rob's flashback to graduate school.
Yes, I drank this a lot in graduate school. Maybe too much.
Yeah.
All right. So, let's see. Let's start with Metal Man, because why not? Let's see how much I regret this.
How long has it been?
It's been somewhere around 25 years, I think, since I played this game. But I used to be able to absolutely crush this, so I'm curious.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. There's an energy canister.
Well,
right off the bat.
I really like the fact that, like, last time you played through the Contra franchise.
You know,
now you're
I
going
mean-
after Mega Man series. What's next?
I don't know. I mean, the Mario Brothers franchise, I feel, is too heavily covered. And there are certain games that were really sort of special to me when I was growing up. You know, I had really great fights with my brothers over who was first player, and so you know, for me, Mega Man is one of those franchises that we just played all the time, friends, family.
Yeah.
And then, you know, why is there corn coming through the floor right here? That's a great question. Ooh, free life, which I probably don't need because I assume we have some sort of cheat codes going here.
Yes, we do have. I
That's all
apologize to video game purists. We do have infinite lives right now.
I think Ken's worried that I'm super rough.
We can turn it off. It's up to you.
You know, I won't. If I don't need them, then it doesn't matter if they're on or off.
We could beat all the Mega Man games.
All right, no.
According to Reese's Pieces, there are 10 the original Mega Mans and then a bunch of spin-offs from.
Huh. That's a lot more than I thought it was. That's an extra life I can't get to because I don't have any of the weird vehicles that I can, for some reason, can shoot out of my hand cannon.
So Matt Hauer played Mega Man X.
I don't know if I've ever played that one.
Oh wow! Look at that.
Does that move vertically?
That's a list of
Holy moly!
Game Boy, Game Gear.
Game Gear. I remember that. Did you ever know anyone who had a TurboGrafx?
No, I did not. But one of my guests wanted to play on a TurboGrafx.
Really?
Yeah.
My shout out to Greg Santoro, who lived behind me. He's the only person I know who ever had a TurboGrafx. There were a couple pretty cool games on it. It was they sold it as if it was this one's really hard to get and I'm not going to be able to make the jump. I'm just going to have to. Oh, there we go. Talk about a leap of faith.
So, fun factoid though, Colleen Ganley, who will be on the stream at some point, she had a kid fairly recently. She's from the psychology department. She's the first person that introduced the idea of TurboGrafx, and it's because her dad actually worked on it.
Really?
Yeah. So
it was really cool.
Yeah. Visually, it's
enjoyed
amazing.
It. Yeah. So it was sold as if it was 16-bit. You know, which at the time was a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
But it was actually 2 parallel 8-bit processors, if I recall correctly. Where's this guy pulling all these gears from?
This game's so unrealistic.
I know.
All right, Rob, you're settled in. You beat your first boss. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in chat. Rob is happy to talk about pharmacology, cancer biology, cell machinery, waste
enzymes,
management of the cells,
biochemistry,
biophysical chemistry.
what it's like not to have hair, anything you want.
I'm getting close. I have questions.
I don't want to hear
No,
it.
it's on the retreat. It's a
All
matter of
right.
time.
Metal kills Quickman.
Not Woodman?
Woodman.
Reese's
Oh, wait a minute.
Pieces. Do you
Hold on.
know your order? Mega Man 2.
Yeah, hold on. Don't tell me.
So for those of you that haven't played this before, one of the keys to beating this is certain bosses, you gain a skill, and that skill is really good at killing other bosses.
You know what? I think metal was for Woodman. Quickman. He's against him. He might be one hit kill with a bubble. I'm so rusty. Metal kills Woodman, but it is also an OP.
OP weapon. Yeah.
OP.
It's overpowered. Yep.
Yes. All right, let's do Woodman.
I mean, that's the thing. If you pick the right weapon, you just destroy the bosses in 2
So actually, this is ironic. You end up fighting the bosses again at the end of this game.
Yeah.
And you can kill Metal Man with a single metal gear.
Oh, is that
Oddly
true?
enough, yes.
I did not know that.
Maybe just for fun, as a first pass, I'll try and kill all the bosses with my regular P weapon, and then we'll see how it goes. 1 or 2 of them are pretty tough that way. Some of them are pushovers, like Flashman. He's got nothing going on. I got to tell you. I mean, when your weapon is Flash.
All right, so Rob, this is your second time on stream. For those
Yes.
of you that don't know, he was our first guest after we got affiliate status. It was January of last year. I actually looked it up.
How about
And
that?
so, yeah, you were the first one when we had actual predictions and
Must not have done that badly if you brought me back. Right through the wall here. Look at that. Boom.
but yeah, we've grown quite a bit, quite a few followers since then. But yeah, and we've polished up our stream a little bit, but for the most part, it's great to have you back. As we learned last time, Associate Professor Dr. Junior is here.
Yes. It's actually hanging on my wall in my office.
Is it? You
Yeah.
officially
I
mounted
framed it. Yeah.
So if you wouldn't mind recounting that story.
Yeah. So for those of you who aren't familiar, when you join a university as a faculty member, there's something called the tenure track. And basically, if you prove your worth to the university, for lack of a better term, you're rewarded with more or less a long-term contract that extends, pretty much until you die of old age. Giving you job security. The original purpose for this really was to ensure that faculty would have the freedom to pursue controversial ideas. It's not clear that that really works, but it's nice to know that I really have to screw up to be fired. Anyway, so when I was promoted and earned tenure, you typically get a letter from the president of the university saying congratulations. And my full name is Robert Joseph Tomko Jr. My father is Robert Joseph Tomko. And when I got my letter from the president, it said, "Dear Dr. Jr." as in Jr. Dot, which tells me 2 things. Number 1, the president didn't know who I was, which is fine. And number 2, it was almost certainly his administrative assistant who just fills out these forms in block.
I mean, it might be a script to actually automate.
That's what I
just
mean. So,
inserting,
Anyway, I have sort of a very satirical sense of humor, and I really enjoyed the fact that that's what it said, so I framed it, and now it hangs above my desk in my office.
That is awesome.
And at the moment, at least, no one calls me that except for you, Ken.
So that is formally the most important letter of your academic career.
In a lot of ways, yes.
Yeah.
And it's very me for it to end up this way.
How it needed to happen. Yeah.
What are some of the big goals you hope your research to accomplish? By the way, I'm sending this to your tenure review committee. Well, they already happened, so there's nothing you can do to me now.
He has tenure. He's
All right.
pretty much bulletproof.
Woodman, I think you fight air with leaves. I don't know what
You
sort
use
of...
your saw against Woodman.
I did
You
not.
beat him legit. Nice.
Yeah, I'm just going to try and do them all with the regular blaster.
I mean, Infinite Lives. It starts.
I don't
you
know
back
what it's
over.
called, but it begins with P, so I always called it the P gun, which was much funnier when I was 8.
Still funny.
It's
now that
actually
we're-
still pretty funny.
We're in our 40s.
I may never grow up. You have to grow old. You don't have to grow up.
So Reese's Pieces wants to know, what are some of the big goals you hope your research to accomplish?
Sure. So, long story short, we're sort of biochemists, biophysicists in terms of the approaches we tend to start with. And we spend a lot of time studying exactly how the different parts of the proteolytic machinery in the cell works. The machinery that sort of chews up or cuts down damaged or defective or unneeded proteins into their building blocks so they can be reused. In a lot of human diseases, cells either become overly reliant on proteolysis to get rid of garbage that builds up, and there are other diseases where there are proteins that are supposed to be destroyed, and for one reason or another, they're not. So good examples of this are Alzheimer's disease or Parkinson's, where there are these sort of proteins that are prone to misfold and clump and form toxic species, for lack of a better term, that ultimately kill off neurons and cause the disease. So by understanding how the proteolytic machinery works, we can start to develop ways to interfere with it or enhance its activity to fix these conditions. So I'm also, as Ken mentioned, trained as a pharmacologist, and we are looking for ways. Sorry, I'm sort of having awkward sentence structure here as I try to jump. Yeah. We search for chemicals that can potentially fix or alter the functions of some of these components. In some cases, we're trying to re-engineer that proteolytic machinery to destroy something it normally wouldn't in a way that would be helpful.
So what's your, we did it moment? If all that works out, you get exactly what you want. Do you have a holy grail?
Yeah, so I think, all joking aside, for me, the real driver is just learning interesting stuff. Mm-hmm. I figure if I'm going to do something, I might as well do something that at least has the potential to help people. Where's this guy getting these tornadoes from?
It's his chest fan, obviously.
Yes. I keep mine in the pantry.
Wow, wrecked. Well done.
Yeah, I'm so far so good.
Yeah, that's a
memory is going. I'm pulling it from somewhere.
I mean, it's playing on the original controller that really brings it back.
It is. Oh, that feel
that painful
pointy
gouge in the
square rectangular lump that absolutely no thought, I think, went into in terms of the shape.
Well, it was probably a production limitation. Like, what shape can they make out of plastic?
Yeah, it was probably easy and cheap.
It was really, early in development. Like, I was thinking about that with my kids' toys, just how much better they're made now than they were when we were young.
So, I don't know if you know this. When did plastic really sort of get commercialized?
I think it was post-World War II.
That was my feeling, too. I thought it was like the late 50s, maybe? All right, so I just killed Woodman. Normally, no, I just killed Airman, and usually you would use him on Crashman, so let's go there.
Let's look at the timeline. Early production to 1800s.
Oh, wow. That's not really the same as commercialization, I guess.
Yeah.
But
so nylon was patented in 1935.
Holy moly.
DuPont started manufacturing polyester in 1950.
And terrible disco shirts came out only moments later.
Yeah. High-density polyethylene bottles was the 1960s. So, yeah, it really took off after World War II.
That's what I thought, yeah.
It's crazy how many things were due to limitations of materials during war. Because, there were certain things that weren't available. So they came up with clever ways to replace those things.
Yep.
Like, artificial sweeteners were born out of a limitation of not having enough sugar.
Really?
It really took off production during World War I. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So, yeah.
They say necessity is the mother of all invention, right?
Yeah.
Or I think it's true.
Big force behind it.
Yeah, buddy. I'm at war with whatever these weird blue twirly things are. I want to know what the inspiration for some of these enemies are. Like, these don't reflect anything I've ever seen or thought about.
So every time I have a guest on, I spend some time thinking about their research because I read through their profiles and I set up their tweets and everything. And so your focus is like waste management and processing aspects of the cell. And it's one of those things that I had never really thought about until we had crossed paths.
Really?
Which is probably a problem in the field, right? Because there's a lot of people like replication of DNA is sexy and protein folding is, but waste management is no joke.
Yeah, I mean, your cell makes an enormous amount of junk.
Yeah.
Basically, so proteins, we're really interested in the destruction of proteins, the clearance of unnecessary proteins. And I mean, proteins are what do most of the work inside the cell and even outside of the cell in various parts of your body. So, lots of times they're made to do something, and then they'll do that thing and then they're no longer needed, right? So you don't want to just kind of keep them forever. You have to clear space. They would eventually fill up the entire cell and clog other biological processes. In fact, people think that this might be part of the underlying problem with a lot of these diseases that I had mentioned, like Alzheimer's and Huntington's and Parkinson's. And there's even some similarities, in certain forms of diabetes and a bunch of other diseases as well. So that's a lot of stuff to get rid of. Got him. I got lucked out there.
I mean, so that's replication processes are pretty well known. Protein folding, people are figuring out how much do we actually understand about waste management?
Yeah.
Do we actually know what's going on?
Yes and no. I mean, we have a reasonably good idea, I think, at this point of the major ways that you can get... I think I'm in the wrong spot. I think I want to be on that one over there. And there's an E-tank at the top of one of these. Let's see how good my memory... Oh, and I'm not even in the right spot for that. Okay, it wasn't an E-tank at least. Watch this be a dead end.
No, is it really? I don't
know. I think they both go all the way up.
Okay.
There's the E-tank. Okay.
I mean, you could drop down and get it if you really wanted to.
Now, I have to go back and do all this again, and I'm fine with that. Woo! And my favorite thing is, look when he lands. It's like nothing happened. Bunk! It's fine.
No fall physics in this game.
Yeah, either that or he has a really powerful exoskeleton. Anyway, yeah, so the machinery, we kind of know the parts at this point, but the bigger question is, how do they work? On one hand, you have the problem of having, what is with all these birds? You have this problem where you have to get rid of some things while sparing others, right? And there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of physical copies of proteins in every cell in your body. And, the density is really high. It's almost like a gel. There's so many of them in there. So you need to be able to identify just the right ones and send them for destruction while sparing a veritable sea of other proteins, right? Not the easiest thing to do. So it turns out that there's an incredibly complicated set of pathways that guide which proteins are destroyed and when. And something like 5% of all the genes in the human genome are devoted to protein destruction, believe it or not. So 1 out of 20 proteins in your body is actually there to help destroy something, right? So that's crazy.
No, 5% of functional proteins are garbage cleanup. That's amazing.
So that's quite a
non-trivial.
This guy is tough, if I recall correctly, because he shoots these stupid crash bombs at me, and they blow up randomly. Stop jumping.
Pretty heavy damage too.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I don't like you. Oh, this is ugly. And this is gonna blow. Oh, nice. Safe. That was close. If I recall correctly, he's the hardest one in this one.
Yeah.
Streak's alive. Anyway, so trying to figure out which of those, somewhere around 1,000 proteins or 1,500 proteins targets which other proteins in the cell, when and why, is a lot of stuff to figure out, right? So there's a lot of work to be done. All right, so Crashman, I think you would normally use on Quickman. I remember him being a pushover.
Well, one thing I find really curious about that is there are a lot of processes that have to happen before you can study anything, right?
Right.
You're convoluting everything with the stuff that happened beforehand, and then you have to differentiate. It's a hard problem.
Yeah. No, I agree. So, a lot of the people in my field are spending time just trying to figure out, I forgot about these. Let's see if I can still do it.
Sparketed? Nice. The game I remember playing at your house the most was Sesame Street NES game. I'm going to assume that someone you know.
Sounds like it.
The Sesame Street NES game?
Oh, that's my friend Ed Lester.
You'll have to be more specific because there are at least 3.
I remember that game.
Sesame Street games.
Are there really?
Yep.
That's kind of crazy. I didn't realize.
ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, and then there's like a Grover finding one.
I
know
think
this
we had
because I have
either
a
1, 2,
5-year-old.
3s or ABCs.
Yeah.
I definitely remember that game, and I remember thinking that Big Bird was just unbelievably awkward looking in the game. Like, aside from already, look at me going through these things like nothing.
After Mega Man 2, do you want me to bust out Sesame
We
Street?
might need to, just so I can relive the nightmare here.
Sparked, stick around. We're going to play some Sesame Street.
That is
after Mega
Sparked
Man.
Ed, just for the record.
Sparked Ed.
Oop, I'm dead.
Sparked Ed.
I got pretty close.
Nice.
Oh, I have to do all these again. This should be fun. Yeah, so he and I grew up up the street from each other, and our parents were good friends, so we were together a lot.
Yeah.
He's been in the emergency room with me. Ken and I were talking about emergency room kid visits with our kids earlier. And you know, I have 2 boys, and we've been in the emergency room quite a few times already. He was there at least once when I got stitches. And his brother once locked himself in my basement. Good times.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we got him out eventually. Anyway.
Man, I hate that they included those. Those are impossible to get on this level.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. They're trying to
that.
divert to what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah,
Oh, I made it.
Distract, maybe? I don't know.
Also, I always wanted one of whatever that thing is. It seems like it would be a lot of fun. Yeah. That and the movie Aliens?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see, I just spawned another one. We're just gonna do
Nice.
that yellow mecha suit or whatever at the end of the movie. I really wanted one of those too.
Yep.
As best I know, they're still not commercially available. We did have a burping podcast in my basement. Multiple times.
You've come a long way. Not really.
I fear I may not have. In fact, I'm doing some of the same things we were doing when we were 8.
Yeah. But now you're
He was easy.
Dr.
But now I'm doing it as a doctor, I guess.
All right.
But not that kind of doctor.
So Maximinimus wants to know, I'm curious why we need to eat proteins. How come we can't manufacture them from basic organic molecules?
That's a good question. So many organisms can. There are some organisms that can make essentially everything, almost everything they need to live, including all 20 natural amino acids. Who did I just kill? That was Quickman. Normally you would use him on Metal Man, who I already killed. So let's go to Bubble Man. For some organisms, it's more work to try and make them from scratch than it is to just eat something made out of them. So many microorganisms make them because they can't really control where they are, and they're not big enough to eat other stuff. So, they're really forced to make do with whatever they can happen to find in their environment. So like budding yeast or baker's yeast or brewer's yeast is a good example of this. They can synthesize all 20 amino acids naturally because they live on a grape somewhere out in, if they're lucky and have, good sort of good weather, out on a grape somewhere in France or wherever, and they have to make do with whatever they can get. We can go, now we can go to the store and go buy a steak if we want protein, or, we can eat plants, which also contain protein. So we don't really need to spend all the energy making it if we can just eat something that already has it.
I mean, that's really fun. It's just an evolutionary, energetic cost-benefit analysis. Yep. Like, it's just not worth it.
So it's also worth noting that we actually can make a lot of amino acids still. In many cases, we just don't bother if we take them in via our diet. So many of those backup pathways still exist from the olden days when we were just gelatinous blobs or microorganisms. But as we got more advanced, it's just easier to eat stuff. And there's a lot of parasites, for example, that live inside other cells, including in humans, and they often just steal them from the cell they're living in. So you see it even at the single-celled or the microbial level sometimes as well.
Parasitic leech, that's awesome.
Yeah. And again, it's the same idea. They don't have to spend the energy making them if they can just steal them from something else.
So one thing I want to point out for anyone that hasn't played Mega Man before, those spikes are an instant kill.
Instant kill.
So if Rob jumps too high, he is going to get killed by these. So I'm super impressed he's got through that without issue. I think that's the end of them. Should be the end of them.
Yes. My recollection is that there are no more. We'll find out if I'm right. It is, because this is the end. I was right.
Maximinimus follows up. Fascinating. When would those backup pathways go into effect in humans?
Right. So, not every food that you eat contains all 20 amino acids, and it may not contain them in a biologically useful ratio. So, on average, certain amino acids are used more often than others to build proteins. So you need to essentially eat them in the proper ratios in order to make all the things you need to make. So if you were to eat a diet that was relatively devoid of one or more amino acids, then those pathways would kick in and make enough for whatever you needed to do.
And there's presumably limits to that production. Like you can't indefinitely sustain. It's just a temporary thing.
Yep. Can we metabolize any inorganic material? We eat salt, but do we metabolize it?
What is the definition of metabolism?
Yeah. So metabolize generally means to convert from one form to another. So inorganic. Metabolism is the chemical reaction that changes food into energy. So that's sort of a more generic definition. What do you think? Heat Man? Let's go Heat Man.
you know better than I.
I always liked him because he looks like a Zippo lighter, and then he bursts into flame.
Metabolism on Wikipedia.
These are two of my life goals. Just kidding.
Metabolism is a set of life-sustaining chemical reactions in an organism. 3 metabolisms are the conversion of food into energy, the conversion of food into building blocks, and elimination of metabolic waste.
Yep.
So,
and metabolism is also really important for removing a lot of drugs from your body. So generally speaking, you know, the closest example of an inorganic material like a salt or something being metabolized, I would say, is converting it from one valence to another.
yeah.
Which isn't really the same. Generally, go ahead.
It's a chemical reaction, so that's an interesting question. So when he says valence, he's saying, like, you can have metals that are in the 2+ state, meaning it's missing 2 electrons, and then you take another electron and it'll be in the +3 state.
Yeah.
And so that happens a lot with things like iron, and I don't know what else is relevant to the body, but the platform.
Manganese, copper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's traces of many transition metals in the body. So
Does that count as metabolism?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to decide. You know, I think in the strictest definition, most people would say no, but I like to be a little more open. Oop, I hate these blocks.
Yeah.
A little bit more. There we go. And now I have to stand up here until this guy gets...
Oh, no.
Oh. These things are the worst. Take that. This is ugly. We're going to do this. Okay, I'm going to have to lean more.
Yeah, we'll take the damage boost, maybe. Does it stop your momentum?
It does. You sort of stagger backward.
So you'd fall directly.
Like I might toward the end of the evening here.
Inorganic metabolism.
Yeah. Anyway, most of the time, those things are incorporated into other biological molecules. Like certain enzymes or proteins will use metals to stabilize them or to help make it easier. Oh, I forgot about this. All right, let's go all the way back here. And then do I have that power sled? I think this is it. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you did. Oh, come on, man.
I got your rage emote right there.
Yeah, thank you. That was
amazing.
Absolutely unacceptable. Oh, you're gonna be kidding me. Okay, third time's the charm. Maybe. Oh, that's too high. I can't get on it. Okay, bye.
Metabolize inorganics.
Yes. So anyway, your body does take them in, and then periodically it will excrete them. So it's kind of... Let's run all the way right before using the jet board. Thank you, Reese's Pieces. I'm rusty. Actually, I'm Rob, but, you know, I'll answer to just about anything.
Ooh, dad jokes.
I know.
We're on point tonight.
This is all I got. I'm sorry.
Uncle Bill, welcome back. It's good to see you in chat. Anyone that's not familiar, Uncle Bill is the founder of, it's called the Knowledge Fellowship. I'll put a link up there.
Sweet.
There's a group of streamers, a lot of science education and crafts and arts and streamers that are heavily active on Twitch, much more active than we are. And he's
awesome.
He's the founder and organizer of the Knowledge Fellowship. So you guys should check out that link. The Knowledge Fellowship will take you to Discord where you can check out a whole bunch of streamers. So Bill, welcome back. It's always a pleasure to have you. If you have any questions for pharmacologist Rob Tomko, throw them in chat now.
Or type them.
Or type them.
I can't help
dad
it.
jokes.
I can't help it. It's like as soon as you have a kid, they
how old are your kids?
old enough to be embarrassed by these jokes.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Are
Yes, that is a faux show. I'm stuck under this block.
I see. A founder, not the founder. There's several collaborative founders. Yeah, really fun community of streamers. So welcome, Uncle Bill.
Okay, so let's do a little bit of clearing out here. All right. Oh, that's just wrong.
Ouch.
If I had feelings, they'd be hurt.
No worries.
Fortunately, I'm a blue helmeted robot.
Hey, and you got tenure. Nobody's going to judge your Mega Man skills.
There we go.
Nice. That was a veteran move. Well done.
You know how I do.
Beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. We'll be signing autographs later.
Oh man, it's already 8:30. We should throw up a prediction.
Nice.
Which one do you want?
I am. Let's see.
This right here.
Let's start with the second one, since we started with Mega Man 2.
And we just started a discussion about.
Yeah, so this is kind of a good segue.
This is a fun transition. Thank you for the question.
Also, thank you to Reese's Pieces for jogging my memory here. Oh, it was too high to get it.
All right, we're going to throw 2 minutes. For those of you not familiar on our channel, we do predictions, but we don't use them to predict what's going to happen in game. Instead, we use them to answer science questions. So if you're not following us, click the follow button, get your 300 standard internet units. You can spend them and gamble them on predictions, science-based questions, which we are going to pop one of those up right now. And so the question Rob has for you guys is, the total salt in the human body, in this case we're talking about sodium chloride, also known as table salt. How much sodium chloride is there in the human body? Is it less than 1 pound or greater than 1 pound? And we're going to say this assumes, what, I don't know, average 150-pound human being or something like that. We're not going with the largest or smallest person on Earth. We're saying on average. Total salt in the human body is less than 1 pound or greater than 1 pound. For those of you not familiar with predictions, on the top of the chat, you'll see the predict button. Click on that predict button. It'll expand, and you can put as many points as you want on either answer, either greater than 1 pound or less than 1 pound.
So I see that my 10-year-old is online and is asking if diarrhea is bad for you.
You know your child's... Oh, it's the name Tomko is there.
Yeah.
Oh, is it the name Nicola?
Nikolai, yeah. So my wife and I are of Slovak origin, so we tried to pick Slavic names for
Well, Nicola, what's your prediction? Total salt in the human body, less than 1 pound or greater than 1 pound? And if you're not in American units, how many kilograms is 1 pound?
1 pound is about 0.4 kilograms. It's 453 grams.
453 grams. So about half a kilogram translates to 1 pound. What is the prediction? How much total salt is in the human body? Is diarrhea bad for you?
It's actually kind of an important question. It depends.
How bad is it?
Really? So, diarrhea is actually a defense mechanism to try and flush a pathogen out of your gastrointestinal tract, right?
Yeah.
So, if you have cholera, it's probably a good thing. But I think the volume definitely matters too, because you can lose electrolytes, including salt.
Nobody's gonna bet against. Oh, everyone bet greater than 1 pound. What is the answer, Rob?
It depends on whether you've eaten Burger King before you tally it. Just kidding. It's actually less than 1 pound. It's about 200 grams, which is maybe about a little under half a pound. So it is close.
It's about a half a pound.
It's a lot of salt.
So your body's 70% water. The salt concentration is just inherently very high if you get a half a pound in there.
Yeah, so, but it's got electrolytes. Then plants must crave it. I don't know if any of you have seen Idiocracy. If not, you should definitely check it out. Great movie from, I think, Mike Judge, right?
Yeah,
you ever seen this?
Yeah. No,
Great
Idiocracy
flick.
is spectacular. So Reese's Pieces did the dominant guess here. So if I put less than 1 pound, does Reese's Pieces lose all their points? Because that seems unfair because nobody bet against them. So
I'm not sure what the normal betting etiquette is here.
I don't know. I'm going to Reese's Pieces. You're going to get a refund. I'm going to say greater than 1 pound, but the answer is less than 1 pound.
Yeah. So,
Nikolai found the emojis.
Oh dear. Found the emojis. Congratulations.
So
Use them with great power comes great responsibility, son.
Anyone that saw the prediction outcome, the answer is actually less than half a pound, but I'm not going to steal points for someone not betting against it. So we're going to say the winner is greater than 1 pound. So you get your refund, Reese's Pieces. Thank you for betting. But yeah, the answer is half a pound of salt.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So what's the salt concentration in a cell?
Yeah, so, and we actually usually describe it in terms of sodium and chloride. So sodium is actually not particularly abundant inside the cell. Potassium is the dominant monovalent cation. Your body spends an enormous amount of energy pumping sodium out of the cell, actually. I think I had to be in the middle. Usually wherever the most unpleasant path is where you got to go. So there is a lot of sodium in certain parts of the body, but a lot of it is in the serum or the blood, and then there are a lot of sodium interacting proteins, I think, in the body as well. But as I said, potassium is really the major. Oh, that's right, he freezes you. All right, he's not as cheesy as I remember. Still very easy, though. All right, so I've beaten, missing a B, all 8 bosses with the regular P weapon here.
In 36 minutes.
Not bad.
Yeah, no, you're flying.
Am I supposed to be trying to go fast?
I mean, we could set up the clock if you want. I think the speedrun record is like 22 minutes or something.
Okay, so I've already lost it.
Mega Man 2 was, I think it was beaten like 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, it was fairly recent.
Does lack of potassium cause hair to fall out?
Trump Sci Guy wants to know, does lack of potassium cause hair to fall out?
It very well may. So, one of the reasons people hypothesize that people are attracted to a thick head of hair, tear, is because hair is a very good indicator of the overall health of the person it's growing out of. Your hair follicles are alive, and hair is, basically a string of proteins coming out of your head, which is also kind of weird. I always envision those Play-Doh toys where you could press them down and the hair would come out. Yeah. So anyway, so I don't know that your hair falling out would be what I would call an early sign of a potassium deficiency. Some of the bigger problems that you would expect to have would be like heart function. So potassium, calcium, and a couple other minerals are really important for heart function. I gotta use my weird... Is it 1 or 3? Let's find out. I was looking for 3, but that's okay. So my guess is if the deficiency were severe enough, yeah, you would eventually lose your hair.
That's interesting. So evolutionists...
But I'm not a potassiumologist. Is that a thing?
I love the fact that evolutionists selected for these, like, abstract indicators for underlying phenomena.
No, I agree.
It's just such an elegant, biology is amazing. It finds a way.
It kind of is. Life finds a way.
I really appreciate it, but I'm worried about my hair.
Yeah.
Many of us.
Let me be living proof that you can be bald and at least still good at Mega Man. I'm not sure if that consoles you at all. I blew it.
Oh,
that's okay.
I spoke too soon.
I said good at, not perfect.
No, that's true.
Now, the good news is I can just shoot this thing until I get the refill guys. And then I can take my weird
Man,
wall
that was
climbing.
such a nice mechanism in this game, too.
Oh, I know.
It's RNG for getting those random... Like, you get 1-ups, you get power-ups, you get refills.
Yep.
You can just harvest those.
I know. This was really one of my favorite NES games, I gotta tell you. It was very well done, I thought.
It's one of the favorites. Fun factoid, originally Mega Man in Japan is known as Rockman.
Yes, I knew that. I'm not sure why. Both why I knew that and also why you would name him Rockman, since he's clearly made out of metal. Or some sort of synthetic skin alloy. We are not. Ken does have an original NES, I believe, but this is an emulator just to make it easier here to broadcast.
So it really comes down to, so the question is, are you playing on original hardware? There are ways to take like an RF adapter and hook it up to a capture card, but the video quality for doing that is pretty low. You can get modified Nintendos that have
I
really
forgot
nice
about this.
capture.
One of my favorite things about these is the ones on them are backward if you dispense them to the left.
That's amazing.
Because it took too much, memory, I guess, or storage space to flip them around.
Yeah.
And there's an octopus. Why not?
But yeah, Sparked, we're playing on an emulator, which essentially reconstructs the computer or the NES hardware in silico, and then you play ROM files that are essentially simulating the cartridge. So what Rob is playing is true to the game.
Also, here comes the dragon.
He is playing on an original NES controller that has an NES to USB converter. So
it's pretty dope.
Yeah,
I gotta tell you.
Got the feel is there. So
all right, and my recollection is I want to use Q. Oh, that's not Q.
All right,
on this guy.
Do you want to focus on this boss, or are you ready for another question?
I can do two.
This is arguably one of the hardest bosses in the game because it bumps you off the platform and then you're done.
I know, what a jerk.
Yeah. But Alana, welcome to the stream. Thank you for the first time chat. If you're not following, click follow because we're going to do predictions and you'll be able to spend points. In the meantime,
go ahead.
Alana wants to know, what are your favorite experiments that you've done so far?
The ones that work. Just kidding. So Alana is a first-year graduate student in our PhD program. She's actually rotating in my laboratory right now. Thank you, Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
I don't know who you are, but you are very good at Mega Man. My hat, were I wearing one, would be off to you. All right. Sometimes I like to do things the difficult way just because. Anyway, so, when you do science, there are some experiments that work right away, but good for you. But those are really the minority, I would say. Probably in chemistry as well, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
I definitely had a lot of failed synthesis back in the day. The ones that are my favorite are the ones that I really had to grind for. Yep. And I kept pushing on them long after most people would have given up. And I eventually got them to work. So let's see if I can reach his head.
Oh,
genius.
Nice. Thank you, Reese's Pieces. Get it.
Boom.
Wow.
So there were a few that I've had, experiments that I had a great idea and I knew that it was theoretically possible and I just had to work out technical details. And there's some that I worked on and off for, a year or even longer sometimes. And when they finally work and you get that answer to the question that you've been trying for a really long time, it's really rewarding. So, I know that's not a specific experiment per se, but it's hard to pick. I've done a lot over the years. So, the ones where stubbornness paid off, I think, are really my favorites.
So I'm going to give a contrasting answer, if you don't mind. I'm going to contribute my opinion on favorite experiments, because it's also general philosophical view of experiments, but it's the experiments that give you the accidental, interesting result. And I think it's really underappreciated.
This was not the smart way to go.
Oh, are you done?
No, if I had taken the other route, I would have got a crash or an energy tank. Actually, I might have all of them. But more importantly, I need these crash bombs for somebody later on. I don't remember if it was this stage or the next one.
Yeah.
But there's these weird wall things you have to kill. I think it's actually this one. And I missed all these goodies here.
So yeah, there's experiments that you intended to see one result and you saw something very different that was actually more interesting than your original.
Yeah.
Goal. And you'd be surprised how many scientific discoveries are a byproduct of accidents like that.
That's true.
And so the reason this is like present in my memory is I recently got asked to do like a Villanova. I have a friend that's a professor there, and he asked me to give a presentation that wasn't research based, but instead like a historical what got you to where you are today. And it was astounding to me how many of my projects were like, we were trying to do this, but accidentally this, and this was cool. And it happens a surprising number of times. And again, it's most of our major breakthroughs are accidental discoveries. And
it's true. You know, I love listening to Nobel talks because almost all of them were, we were interested in this thing and we accidentally found this, and now they're giving me this Nobel Prize. And it's not because those people were smarter than anybody else. It's not to say that they weren't intelligent. You know, you have to be incredibly intelligent to see something that no one's seen before and then figure out how it works and what it's good for. But, actually discovering something that turns out to be super valuable, there's just so much luck.
Yep.
And just looking at something and being willing to dig into it after you realize it's not what you expected to see.
And one thing that Alana's comment here, I've heard from a lot of scientists too, that the accidental ones are like findings are super rare, like a rare pair of boots at Goodwill. But one of the other hard parts about that equation is you have to pay the bills with grants. And your grant does not want you to pursue things that are independent of the grant, at least not.
And usually they don't want you to pursue things that are risky either.
Yep.
They want safe science, which unfortunately is usually not the things that really shake the ground and move everyone forward in a sort of a paradigm shifting way. Mm-hmm. Am I team transgenic or team knockout? Depends on the question. There are some cases where a transgenic approach is far superior, and there are some I'm not doing this right. That wasn't the crash
for the non-expert audience. Can you define the two categories and why?
So transgenic means to take something from one place and put it in one gene. Take a gene from one organism and put it into a different one. So if we, for example, took a gene that encodes a scorpion toxin and put it into a plant, that would be a get away from me, transgenic plant. A knockout is when you take a gene and you delete it from an organism, usually to try and figure out what it does or how it influences something. So there's a time and a place for both. It's kind of like saying, do you prefer a fork or a spoon? And it depends on if I have soup or something that's not soup.
I just want to point out how creative that boss was. There have been iterations of that boss since then. I think Super Contra has something similar that constructs from the sides, but this was the first.
Oh, this is like the toxic waste dump line with the giant mechanical fish. I do remember that.
All right, Spark Dead wants to know what contribution or paper you've written are you the most proud of?
That's a good question. So it's probably one of my least cited papers, but it's the first one that I published where I sort of conceived and executed the entire study without any mentoring. So I have a paper in, I think, 2008, maybe, in the journal Cell Cycle. I studied, among other things, the cell cycle in graduate school, where I found that this phenomenon called nitrosative stress, which is basically when your body makes a whole bunch of chemicals that contain or derive from nitric oxide, which is a gaseous signaling molecule inside the cell. It caused the cell to stop dividing, and I basically figured out, at least in part, how that happened. And it was a study that I carried out, I guess, in probably the last year of my graduate training. And I did it pretty much, without consulting my thesis advisor, for better or for worse.
Yeah. Got published.
Yeah, no, he did, and I didn't realize this at the time, but he always gave me just enough rope to hang myself, as the saying goes, in a good way.
Good advice,
You know,
yeah.
I didn't realize it at the time. Sometimes I was frustrated. I don't know if he's listening, but I didn't realize it at the time. But I would sometimes be frustrated with the lack of clear direction that I was given, and as I'm now sitting essentially in his shoes. I realize how important that is to really develop your critical thinking, your ability to sort of design a study and carry it out. You know, he never abandoned me, for lack of a better description, but he didn't, he didn't spoon feed me either. And I realize first that is somewhat rare, and second that it's really valuable. And I think I really did well in my next steps, in part because of that. So if you're out there, John, thanks.
You can send him.
I owe you a beer. Yeah.
You can send him a YouTube link. John, cheers to you. Thank you for mentoring Rob, where he can be here joining us for Ask a Scientist Gaming.
He's probably also the only person that enjoys completely weird stuff as much as I do. So, I forgot there's holes in this. And you can use the bubble to figure out where, there it is. You can also just fall through the holes, which is apparently even easier. He just randomly sent me a YouTube link with no context today, and I clicked on it.
Today?
Yeah, this happened today. And it was the North Korean armed forces marching in sequence, but set to staying alive.
Yes.
With absolutely no explanation, just out of the blue. We haven't talked in a couple months probably before that.
To be fair, no explanation needed.
I kind of agree, all joking aside. But, it's nice to have that kind of relationship where you don't even, and I can't remember.
No, that's awesome.
If there's a hole here, so we're going to drop a bubble. It looks like we're golden. Just kidding. Yeah, so, in retrospect, I really appreciate how good of a mentor he turned out.
I mean, so does he mentor everyone that way, or did he recognize in you that you would be okay with that mentorship?
Yeah,
not everyone survives in that.
No, I know. I would say that it was a slightly more sink or swim environment than a lot of places.
I see.
He ran a really big lab. He was, when I was in graduate school, he was the chair of the pharmacology department. He was also the director of the Drug Discovery Institute at Pitt School of Medicine. Cheap plug. So, he had a lab of I think 60 people at one point was there. Yeah, it was huge. So, I think in part, at least, it's just not possible to mentor. This isn't good. So you think I can be damaged long enough to get it to come back around? It wasn't possible. So, I mean, we did meet regularly and all that, but, he wasn't the kind of guy where you could just pop into his office and be like, hey, what do you think about this? You had to schedule an appointment to say hi.
60 people.
Yeah, it was big.
Crazy.
At the time I was there, we were one of the molecular library screening center hubs for the NIH.
I see.
Which was, I don't know, it was maybe it was a lot of money. I forget, how big it was, but it was a many millions of dollar initiative to try and develop new drugs and new chemical tools that can be used for research. So, I mean, we had an industry-like screening center in our lab, which was also awesome in retrospect. I didn't realize how rare that was. So I learned a lot about high throughput screening and drug development. I did it again.
No.
Why do I suck?
No worries.
I suck because I'm not focused.
This is arguably the hardest part of the game.
Yeah. I'm not willing to accept that as an excuse. For what it's
You're right. Earn it.
Yeah, I'm a no BS kind of guy.
Yeah.
In any event, where's I going with all this? Probably somewhere. And I think you can actually jump from that upper corner that I just went from, but I'm not willing to risk it after 25 years of
not doing it. Yeah.
Fading memories. Although I will say I'm kind of impressed with how much I have remembered.
Yeah,
and then I'm also embarrassed by how little I can remember from earlier today for some reason. Selective memory.
So for those of you thinking about joining research groups, that's definitely something to assess, number of people in the group and how much time you'll get with your mentor.
Yeah.
It's a non-trivial part of your graduate experience.
Yes. There we go.
Nice. Oh,
Oh, I'm good. Oh,
it's getting
dear.
hairy.
Everything's fine. Nothing to see here.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I think what's also worth pointing out is that not everybody wants and needs the same things to thrive.
Yeah.
So some people just won't do well with sink or swim. Others will. Some people will do better because of it. I always used to use this stupid rocket sled, which look, the two's backward too. Apparently, all of these things are unable to turn the two around. Some people thrive best with a bit more one-on-one or hands-on mentoring, and that's totally fine. It's just everybody learns differently, and everybody needs different things to be successful. So, as a mentor myself now, I try to look at all the people in my lab and try and do sort of a reasonable and fair assessment of who they are, what they're going to need realistically to be most successful, and I try to personalize that toward them as much as possible. Yeah. I have the benefit of having a substantially smaller than 60 people lab, which makes it easier, but
Yeah.
all right.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. All right.
There's a sequence.
There is, and we're going to see if I remember it. You definitely have to do this.
Yeah, the one-size-fits-all mentoring plan, like, you can
Does
get
not
away
work.
with that at, like, MIT, where you can just sink or swim and you get, dozens of students or whatever, but I don't think it's a good strategy. I think it's bad for everyone involved.
Often, yeah.
We know Reese's Pieces knows the sequence. Are you running out? Oh, no.
Oh, it's okay, I'm dead. In your opinion, how can we combat the anti-science movement? As an engineer, I consider myself a scientist. Yes. So, Ed is probably one of the people who does the best job of trying to educate non-scientists, or at least to get them to think twice before they come up with an opinion on something. So, I think we have to be able to build trust with people who are not able to read and interpret the scientific literature themselves. And I think there's two ways to do that. The first is transparency. I think we need to be as straightforward, forthcoming, and honest as possible with people. I try to never force my personal opinions on anybody. I think it's important for them to come to their own decisions. And, I think people are more willing to listen to reason if you approach them openly and transparently. The other problem, I think, is that people who are perhaps not really able to do a good job of interpreting what's often very complex scientific studies need to try and understand that there can be multiple interpretations of the same study, and their way also might not be the right way, just as a scientist's way may not be the right way. It's also worth noting that the whole concept behind science is that we change our views as we learn more information, right? So a great example of this is when coronavirus first came out, or first sort of started spreading, however you want to think about it here. Nobody knew anything. So we had to make very good guesses. Oh, I'm starting to remember how this works, but I have no crash thingies.
What?
Oh, yeah, I'm in trouble. Okay.
Can I get you infinite energies?
I don't know. Should I just hang out for a second?
Yes.
I'm hanging. Otherwise, I can go back and kill those guys with the little jumpy things.
Can you exit this room after?
I cannot get out. And I totally forgot about this. Moonwalking?
Yeah, that's not going to help you.
Why are we not doing this?
Gives burst fire for normal weapon.
No, infinite lives.
Super jumps, mega jumps. Those might actually help you here. You can jump over the walls.
I was just remembering, I'm starting to remember how to do this.
Maximum weapon energy.
You do need crash bomb full energy. I think you end up with those 4 little lines there at the end of it. I remember if you do it properly, you have one left.
Why doesn't that get refreshed when you die?
I don't know.
You lose credit.
Yeah, I also remember now that you need to use like the wall climber and stuff to get around some of this stuff so that you don't have to shoot out unnecessary barriers. It's back there somewhere. It's coming out.
All right, so I can't help you with the game.
No worries. I'm just gonna eat it and die here. Oh, and I also forgot they don't come back. The ones that you blow up don't come back.
Oh, okay.
afterward.
So the next one's gonna be easy then if you get.
Yeah. So actually, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out this one just to make it easier before I kill myself.
You got one more? No.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. So you know, again, it's not an easy problem to solve, right? Or somebody would have done it before. And I also don't claim to know all of the answers. But I have to believe that we just need more dialogue and more discourse between the lay public and scientists. Whoop.
Speedrun.
Whether I like it or not.
I mean, that's one thing I've wrestled with, because there's like, you know, I'm an expert in a particular area and I could spend all day explaining, you know, aspects of that area to someone, but I mean, some people's mechanism of thought is broken. Like foundational, how they view science, or they view, you know, whether it be emotion driven over science or it's just not understanding what science is. Like, you can't start a dialogue by saying, no, your thoughts are broken and we need to fix that first.
Right.
Like, there's fundamental problems there.
I'm remembering a whole bunch of things I used to do to make all these difficult parts easier.
I was gonna say, you're looking veteran now after playing this a couple times.
I could have used that. That's all right.
I mean, you can still get it.
So, no, what I'm going to do...
Farm it?
Yeah, basically. And this is where it gets complicated, because I got to let this guy get all up in my grill, so that... oh, and this guy's coming down, of course. You want some of this? Oh. All right, so that's not happening. Yeah, no, you know... there is so much complexity to human health, you know, just to take one example. You know, and we don't know lots of stuff. So, you know, the whole idea with science is that you have an idea how you think something works. You come up with a plan to test it. You test it, and sometimes you're right. Sometimes you're not right. And then you go back to the drawing board. You say, okay, well, that wasn't it, so let's try blank, you know, and you try something else. So, you know, I think a lot of people have forgotten or never learned in the first place, really, that this is how it works. Can I get this guy to respawn easily? No. That's okay. You know, so I think, you know, efforts even at the earliest stages of education here, really, to teach people how science is actually conducted would be helpful. Are you serious? This tiny dot?
The RNG's working against you. So this is it, right? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, but I can just go back and respawn these guys. Thank you, 8-bit action. Of course, this guy's coming back too. Oh yeah, I'm making my life more complicated than it needs to. Ah! What am I doing?
Do you want infinite energy?
No, I'm good.
All right, you
I have all kinds of goodies yet. I am going to regret this, I'm sure.
So it's 9 o'clock. Anyone just joining us? Today my guest is Dr. Rob Tomko. Rob is a pharmacologist. He's an expert in cellular machinery, particularly with protein waste management within the cell, understanding that process and how it impacts things like health and well-being. He's happy to answer any questions regarding that, or biophysics, or cancer biology, or whatever you might have to ask. Throw those questions in chat. He is happy to answer those while he plays Mega Man and farms for... what are the energy?
I don't know. I call them the blue things.
The blue things. He's farming for blue things.
Gotta have it, yo. All right. 50th time, here's a charm.
Blue's a flavor, right? that counts.
Sure, why not?
All right, 9 o'clock. We should probably do a prediction.
Super duper.
What do you want to do? Actually, I'll let you finish this up because this is important.
I can do this in my sleep.
Well, now you can.
Let's go with the first one. I actually really like that one.
All right. All right, so we're going to do a prediction. Get ready with your standard internet units. If you're not following us, click the follow button. Get your 300 standard internet units. Unlike most channels that talk about video game predictions, we do predictions based on science questions. So I'm going to pop up a science question that you guys can guess the answer to. Note that we are on Ask a Scientist Gaming honor code, so you cannot Google the answer. Instead, we want you just to do it off the top of your head, from your knowledge or what you can derive from your brain. Make a prediction on this particular science question that I'm going to pop up right now.
There's purple stuff inside.
So, what has more chromosomes, humans or great white sharks? Chromosomes are the things that pack your DNA together.
Yeah.
How do you describe chromosomes to...
Chromosomes are literally just big, long strands of DNA, and it's easier to kind of have, I proved myself. I'm just going to go with this. Eat hot bubble. Whatever that means.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, so basically all the DNA inside each of your cells is packaged into little, basically condensed sticks of DNA that we call chromosomes.
So the question is, what has more chromosomes, a great white shark or humans? Throw your predictions in chat now.
There it is. I'm not doing so hot against this guy. So there's a question in the box. Oh, come on, man.
Someone put one standard internet unit against. You were clocking in at 0%. There we go. 10 standard internet units.
I don't know what that means.
That's just, I'll show you the betting when the time is closed. So you guys have about 1 minute. What has more chromosomes? Is it great white sharks or is it human beings? Have both? The human genome has been completely mapped. Have great white sharks?
Yes, as far as I know. They've sequenced the genome of almost everything at this point. Yeah. Not almost everything, but all the most commonly studied and known species. So Blue Hockenberry asks, is there anything that tips you off quickly?
Oh, wait, before you dive into that one, we'll do the answer to this. I'll get back to it. Blue, I promise we didn't skip you. But throw your predictions in there right now. You have about 15 seconds. Throw your guesses in there, or disperse your knowledge to the world. Guess humans versus great white shark.
All right, check it out. Sorry, this is Metal Man. Watch.
Versus
one metal blade to the face. Oop. Toast.
Wow.
Talk about getting a taste of your own medicine. Sorry to interrupt for like the fourth time.
No. That's fine.
It's one of my strengths.
It's an exchange. Oh. Kahora, thank you for the follow. I don't know why that didn't pop up on the screen or I missed it while we were doing predictions, but thank you for the follow. Enjoy your standard internet units. Bet them on questions like, which one has more chromosomes, humans or great white sharks? And Rob, the answer is...
Great white shark.
Great white sharks.
They have almost twice as many chromosomes as you do, which is kind of crazy. There are some plants that have like 300 or 400 chromosomes, if I recall correctly.
So there is no direct correlation between complexity of an animal and the number of chromosomes.
Correct.
So what dictates that? Is that known? Is that understood?
Yeah, not to the fullest extent, I would say.
Oh, Rob, if you want to see the results, 1.5K was bet for great white sharks and 21 was bet for humans.
But certainly no one Googled.
And certainly no one Googled.
Not judging, just saying. I flipped a coin, then bet big. I like your style, homie.
Uncle Bill, well done.
Yeah, so there is a correlation between... Oh, this stupid thing. Quick. Nope, apparently not. Bubbles. Bubbles? No.
Yeah. Reese's Pieces, are you there? Rob needs your help.
Maybe I just shoot it with the regular P blaster. I shoot it with the regular P blaster.
DX Xander, don't let the number of chromosomes get you downs. We did not make that joke. CX did.
That, yeah.
On the record.
That would be trisomy 21, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy, though. I mean, presumably...
Does anyone else wonder where Dr. Wiley gets the money to build all these ridiculous things? Because I do.
I mean, presumably he just works for, I don't know,
Wiley
Acton or somebody. Yeah. He has a shell company that makes a lot of money and he
sounds possible.
Finances. Yeah. Final boss is Bubbles.
It's true. Bubbles the alien. That I do remember. Bubbles on that weird alien thing. And then it turns out to be just Dr. Wily. Actually, this is it. I'm about to fight it.
So, I mean, is there a relationship between number of chromosomes and things like rate of cancer prevalence or anything like in replication quality or?
Yeah. So to my knowledge, no, other than if you have an unusual number of chromosomes for, I'm not doing so hot at ditching these.
But like sharks can live a really, really long time.
Some of them.
Right?
I think the Greenland shark can live almost 400 years.
And they're very unlikely to get cancer.
Correct.
Or anything that's outrageous.
Yeah, and I don't know that the mechanism or the reason for that is very well understood.
I mean, so we got to genetically engineer a kid with like 50 chromosomes that's functional.
Yeah, I don't see that working very well. Dr. Wily also has an unbelievably large head for the size of his body. What's that all about?
There's the answer for your trisomy.
Yep, 21. That's what I thought.
Most commonly on chromosome 14. I mean, that's so crazy. Like, I know we want to think of ourselves as higher order creatures and all that, but really we're just a sequence packed into these little, 23 packets of information, and we work. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me that's...
And the really amazing thing to me is that some of these things, like chromosomes, for example, hasn't really changed since bacteria. Like, even in bacteria, we were already doing this, like packing all this stuff together like that. So, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I missed somebody's question earlier back, Blue Huckleberry.
Yeah.
We should come back to that at some point.
Maximinimus. Seems like it would be easy to live a long time if your habitat is refrigerator temperature. That's true.
So you are correct.
10 degrees Celsius cuts reaction rates in half.
Correct.
So that includes decomposition and aging. So
yep.
Yeah.
Boom.
They also live slower.
Eat hot bubble, Wily. Kahor is Jacob, and he teaches okay, therefore it's cheating.
Called out in chat. That's okay. We'll take that knowledge. All right, so you're done, right? This is
Yep.
It? All right, blue.
I always wanted to know what this weird red thing is. That's like how he made the alien appear in front of me. And now I'm a deity of some sort. Fantastic.
You're being worshipped by Wily. Nice. Right, we should decide on the next game before answering this question.
Yes. Should we do Mega Man 3?
Unless you want to try Sesame Street.
Oh, I love this. It has like the sad Superman music at the end where he walks and the seasons change. Yeah, I don't know.
I do not remember these credits.
I do, and I don't know why. Again, I wish I could free up the space for like things that are actually useful.
It's useful now.
Yes, that's fair.
I mean, it's just his color schemes, right? And they're...
Yeah. Is it possible to... Well, let's let this play out, and then we'll switch to Mega Man 3, I guess. Or should we do the Sesame Street one real quick?
It's up to you.
So I remember it being
1, 2, 3, ABC, and Big Bird's hide and seek.
I don't like the sound of Big Bird's hide and seek, frankly.
Spark Dead, this one is for you. Which one do you want?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. I don't know. Do you remember which one it was? I think it was 1, 2, 3, but I'm not willing to bet the farm on that.
I don't know.
My brother Michael actually still has all the NES games somewhere.
I don't know how well you know these games, but they are terrible.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. And at the end, like his helmet is there and he's gone. So is he dead or like? There's no.
He gave up his life as Mega Man.
There's no context.
He went to a farm and lived out happily. All right, Sesame Street 1, 2, 3.
Let's do it.
We're just gonna do this briefly.
Oh wait.
ABC.
ABC because of Ernie bathing in bubbles. All right.
All right.
We'll see if you're right.
Ladies and gentlemen. This is the high-quality Twitch entertainment content you came here for.
Let's watch a grown man with a doctorate play Sesame Street ABC.
This is nostalgia for Rob and sparked.
All right, let's try Ernie's Big Splash. Because nothing says classy like hanging out with a Muppet in a tub.
Well, while you're playing this intellectually challenging game.
Oh, dude, I remember this.
Blue Hockenberry wants to know, is there anything that tips you off quickly that a study was not performed designed well? How do you ascertain whether a study is reliable?
That's a great question. Yes, he's right. This was it. Mega Man 2 cover art is hilarious. It's a guy holding a gun as Mega Man. That's right. I remember that. Oh, good times. Right. So it depends on a couple things, including the type of study. So different types of studies use different methods, are organized different ways, and so on. Yeah, there it is.
Sorry, we're gonna switch to this really quick. If you guys haven't seen the Mega Man cover art, here's what it looks like. It looks so realistic.
Yeah, it's not the way the game looks, that's for sure. I feel like the Mega Man on the cover was much taller.
No, I want my refund.
Right. So the gold standard in science is reproducibility. So I don't know what I'm doing here.
Oh my god, this guy's an expert at Mega Man, but Ernie.
Yeah, but do you know how to get this duck into the tub? Because I'm really kind of lost here. What am I?
So this brings up.
Oh, was that it? Oh, look, that's right. There's like toothpaste or something. Should we put them through the washing machine? Why not?
When you're just trying to connect them, that's the premise of this game.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't remember this. Everything I know is a lie.
This brings up an interesting question. So I could change our title to Sesame Street. What is this? ABC?
Moron play Sesame Street.
ABC. But here's a question for chat. What subcategory should I list this stream in? And so usually we'll do either science and technology or streaming. We could be under just chatting. We could be under podcast. If anyone has a suggestion, I seriously doubt Sesame Street ABC has its own subcategory on Twitch, but we can start our own. No, I don't know.
So basically that's right, we didn't ever know what to do. So basically whatever I accomplish here is the metric by which all future Sesame Street ABC Twitch users will be measured. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, we could put this under retro. I mean, we do that. I switch between retro and science technology. I don't know how to reach the biggest audience or the most general audience.
Yeah. Can you do more than one, or is it?
No, it's just one.
No.
And so what happens is it's listed right here. And then if you go on this, you'll see all the people listed under science and technology. And so
yeah, I thoroughly have no idea what I'm doing here. So just for fun, let's try. Oh, look, there's a trash can this time. Why not?
All right.
Tube? What is this? Some kind of tube?
Oh yeah, Hendrik Schoen, the guy that was like, he published like a paper a week for about 2 years straight.
How?
And he had every other month he had a science or nature paper.
What?
And the how behind it is he literally made up his data.
Holy moly.
So he got his PhD revoked, all those papers were retracted, everything, all the funding was like refunded. The guy just made up everything. So Schoen is an awesome story. Not awesome
in a terrible way.
Yeah. It's like a really good example because it was crazy because the way they found it out is somebody printed out his papers and blew them up on a projector, and he found the noise on one graph was the same as the noise on another. And so they actually showed that it was artificial data.
So this actually highlights an important point, though, I think, which is that if you do falsify things, sooner or later, people will figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, as I said, the gold standard really in science is reproducibility. So here's what happens. Somebody does a study, they learn something, and they publish it. And the whole purpose of that is so that other scientists can absorb that information, and then they can build on it. Mm-hmm. So usually when you plan to build on a published finding, the first thing you do is you try to reproduce the original finding and you move forward from there. So what happens is anytime something important or controversial, even in science, occurs.
Are we going to keep playing Sesame Street?
No, you know what? I think I've accomplished everything I can here.
All right.
For better or for worse.
Let me check what cheats I have active. We're switching to Mega Man 3. You want infinite lives, but not infinite energy.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry for the interruption.
What did the passwords look like in this one? There are always these weird... Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so this had really complex passwords. I saw an amazing breakdown because it had to track the bosses you beat, plus your energy levels, plus your number of lives.
Yeah. All right. So here's the thing. I am less familiar with this one, and I'm having a hard time remembering who's the easiest to beat. So this guy looks like a sissy, so we're going to start with him. I mean, who wears a snake hat, right?
So Yeah, Reese's Pieces. What was crazy is this was some of the biggest results, but nobody could reproduce it. And that's the crazy thing too. Like if you're going to make up results, you can publish in the journal of whatever nowhere and nobody will ever find out.
Yep.
But the bigger the claim, the more likely you are to be found out. There's no long-term gain for doing that. You just if it's big enough, somebody's going to find out you're full of shit because they can't reproduce your result. It was just crazy. Because this guy was like high on the list for potential Nobel prizes.
Oh my God, are you serious? I never heard this story.
Hendrik Schoen, look him up because it was crazy how productive he was. It was like it was transistor. I don't remember the exact research. It was like field effect transistors or memristors or something. He was
yes, of course.
Ridiculous performance, and just it was terrible. Anyway, Maximinimus has requested a factoid.
All right.
Drop your factoid.
All right, let me kill this big snake first.
Fun factoid from our previous guest. When I asked him what factoids he should list, he looked up the definition of factoid. The original definition of factoid was actually something that's not factual, but seemed like it would be factual. So we use factoid in a very different way than the original definition.
I see.
But anyway, Rob, what is your factoid?
So by you mean not one of these betting things, just a factoid?
Yep. Just
all right.
list.
So this is something I learned the other day, and it's like my new favorite thing. In Sonora, Mexico, it's illegal to name your son or daughter RoboCop. And you know why? Because somebody did it. Because these types of things, you don't just preemptively tell people not to do that. So there's someone who was born in Sonora, Mexico, and their name is RoboCop, like legally.
I mean, it has to be. They can't retroactively pass the law, right? So
no.
The name stuck.
And that just makes me so happy. I gotta tell you. Not for that person, but the fact that someone felt that was a reasonable thing to do.
Oh, Maximinus, I hope you're happy with your factoid. Unrelated to pharmacology or cell machinery. Reese's Pieces says, redeem, take a drink. Reese's Pieces, cheers. Always a pleasure to have you. Thank you all for joining us. Ask a Scientist Gaming, playing some Mega Man 3 while talking pharmacology.
How was it bad? Why did they... Oh, hold on. So I have two questions. I'll answer the second one first and the first one second.
Yep.
So they banned it because they felt that it would lead to the child not be treated fairly, essentially. So I think their heart was in the right place. Not by naming the child RoboCop, but by trying to prevent the child from being bullied or otherwise put in an unpleasant situation later in life. Mm-hmm. So someone has asked, does the proteasome eat itself, or does it get degraded through autophagy? Because I don't feel too happy with the proteasome eating itself. So
explain some of those terms before answering that question.
So I want to start off by saying that one of my favorite works of art is Saturn Eating His Children by, I think it's Degas. And that's the first thing I thought of when you wrote it that way. If you haven't seen it, you should look it up. There's a really terrifying look in the eyes of Saturn. Are you looking it up? Yeah.
This is it?
Yeah. So this is based on, I think it's Greek mythology, where Saturn eats his children. I forget the story. You should look that up too. Anyway, so the answer is both, sort of.
So here is the art that Rob just mentioned.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a very famous painting.
Yeah.
And I always thought the sort of completely insane look in his eyes was harrowing. So I almost have an art minor. Useless fact.
Oh,
as in, don't actually have an art minor.
But you're close.
I believe so. I would have to go back and look, but I remember being close when I was in college.
You should have taken the COVID interval to go back
and earn that art minor that will unquestionably enhance my scientific career.
It would be a fun factoid.
Sure. What, almost isn't good enough for you, Ken? That's fair. Good times. Okay, so we had talked a bit before that one of the major things we study in my group is the proteasome, which is responsible for eating or removing damaged or defective proteins. So the question is, what happens when a proteasome is damaged or defective? Which is a great question, and actually nobody even asked that until very recently. Our lab has one of the first couple papers on this topic, actually. And I was initially going to build my lab on this idea when I started it. I'm getting creamed by this dude. Where's my... Oh, I don't have any E-tanks.
Want infinite energy? We got
Maybe.
it. All right.
Why not?
Sorry, video game purists, we are cheating right now. Rob now officially has infinite energy.
You know...
And there you go.
All right. So, you know, this is kind of unrelated. I always thought it would be fun to have a steroid sports league where, you know, we accept that, like, a lot of, athletes are using steroids to do better. We should...
What?
You lied to me,
The energy
Ken.
didn't work. I don't know what happened there.
They meant, like, pep, you know, I guess.
Enthusiasm.
Yes, which is less useful in this
Maybe it's only
particular
active
case.
on the reset. I don't know. I didn't test all these codes, so maybe
Fair Can I? Oh, I can
now you
slide
have-
in this one.
Now you
Okay.
have infinite energy.
How about that?
Want a real Mutant League football? Man,
No,
somebody on
steroid
screen
league. Yeah, you know,
needs to play
we already know,
football.
you know, more or less what people are capable of when they're not on steroids. So why don't we just go? And we can't, you know, we're constantly trying to, you know, stay one step ahead of people who are finding new agents that work as steroids.
Yeah.
Why don't we just give up and make it more fun to watch? You know, as a bunch of gorilla humans, you know, cream each other in whatever sport.
If you had
It's not a very good idea,
unlimited budget and no moral qualms,
That
what
might be my experiment,
You might
yes.
start a Mutant League rule, a Mutant League.
Mutant
football
League.
or
I love the
hockey.
name. I'll give you
So
credit for that when the time comes.
that's a game of Sega Genesis, Mutant League hockey.
I remember
Mutant
that.
League
I
football.
think I played
Yeah.
that a few times.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so back to the question. So there's the proteasome is kind of like a big machine made of a bunch of all drug Olympics. Nice. Made of a bunch of different parts, protein parts. So there's about 70, give or take, protein parts that make up the proteasome. I got search snake, by the way. I don't know what that means, but I guess we'll find out. So the proteasome itself is too big to eat itself, essentially. It would be like you trying to eat you in one bite. So that isn't possible. So it's destroyed by a second pathway in the body that aims to recycle components called autophagy. Autophagy is Greek for self-eating. So auto is self and phagy is eating. So autophagy can be used to recycle a lot of types of molecules. So we talked about proteins, but there are also things like lipids and some nucleic acids and carbohydrates that can also be recycled. And many of those are recycled in a specialized organelle inside the cell in a process called autophagy. Autophagy can also recycle proteins, but in general it tends to be less selective than the proteasome. The way autophagy works is you just kind of gulp off a portion of whatever happens to be inside the cell and you chew it up. All right, which one of these guys do you feel like is going to be sensitive to snakes?
Reese's Pieces, are you there and do you know?
Yeah.
Uncle Bill, Augmented Olympics, steroids versus engineered genetics versus
Yo, now we're talking. There was a baseball game for NES in which you could be robots. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Robo, what is it called? Is
It had a
Robo
name
Wars?
that didn't...
Like
oh,
Robo
maybe.
Wars or something like that. I have it on the shelf back there, actually. I know what
Awesome.
game it is. I don't know the
I
name.
feel like snakes would be effective against Gemini Man. I don't know why.
I mean, what's crazy about the Augmented Olympics is that is happening right now.
Essentially.
Like a lot of that stuff is swept under the rug, but also like simple diet, right? And training at high altitudes, and like these games are being played. They're just a lot more subtle than they could be.
In some cases, yeah.
Well,
You
but
know?
like the Olympic figure skater right now, because that's I mean, she had a drug that helped with oxygen uptake, which is a very subtle thing.
Yep.
But like even the skeet shooters or the biathlon, they can't drink alcohol because it soothes their nerves, and it's a
Yep.
performance enhancing drug.
Yeah.
So it's I mean
over the counter cold medicines in many cases are excluded as well. So, you know, they basically have to put almost nothing into their body, you know,
Yeah.
other than sort of, I don't want to call them organic, but natural foods
Yeah.
and drinks.
The rules are pretty
It's kind of
strict.
crazy.
Or be very good at cheating your drug tests. Either one will get the job.
So I actually saw a story on Reddit, which means it's absolutely true, by the way, that the Russians in some past Olympics, base wars. Yes, thank you. Actually,
do you want to play Base Wars after this?
maybe. Yes.
I'll find it.
All right. I remember these weird eggs with like tadpole-esque. I'm hoping they're tadpoles. Coming out of here, because why not? And then how do I get those? Okay, making progress. Anyway, they apparently like bored a hole in the wall of the place that was keeping all the urine samples or blood samples or whatever. This is not worth it. I don't know what's in there, but I'm just gonna skip it because I'm invincible anyway. And like snuck in and retrieved or switched out a whole bunch of samples to avoid being caught for doping. So, anyway, people will go to extreme lengths. And, you know, the truth is, you only find what you look for when you search people's blood or urine or whatever for performance-enhancing drugs. So, why not just give up and let people do whatever they want and see what happens?
Yeah.
You know? If they're going to do it anyway, we might as well...
I'm in full agreement with that strategy. The place it gets really blurry is when a parent wants their 8-year-old to be a super athlete. And
Right.
like, is that an acceptable thing to
No, I
impose
mean,
on a
I think
child?
this has to be something where you have to be an adult.
18 or older, and
Yeah. What,
So if you guys haven't seen it before, Bill Burr has a pretty good diatribe about Lance Armstrong and drug doping and Oprah Winfrey's response to it. My favorite line in the entire diatribe, he was a guest on Conan ranting about this, and the audience was super awkward about it. But he was like,
is anyone else watching me fail miserably right now, or are you listening to Ken? Oh, nice. Okay.
either one is fine.
I second that.
But the critique was of the people that got ejected from the Tour de France. Like Lance Armstrong was one, but like the next 5 top finishers also got tested positive for drugs.
Really?
His conclusion was like, our roided up guy beat your roided up guy. Just let him have the victory.
Yeah, I mean, this is really what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, like let's do Super Olympics.
And
let's
just
do
in the
super-
interest of full disclosure, I had not seen this, so I'm taking credit for independent development.
Oh no, I
This
can
idea.
send you a link. Here's a link in chat to Bill Burr's diatribe. Not affiliated with Ask a Scientist Gaming, but funny nonetheless. Because let's add some real discussions here.
I don't like the looks of this.
Can you not? You don't have the dog or anything yet.
Okay, so I can't. Oh, maybe. Oh, that's right.
All
There's
right.
a dog.
Medicow wants to know, why does ketamine show success in treatment-resistant depression?
Yeah. So I am snakes. I do have a dog. What do I do with this? Oh, that's right. He's like
You
a.
can ride him, right?
No, I do this
Oh, yeah,
for some
there it
reason.
is. Because there's 2 different dogs, right? There's a jumping and a mobile. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's a good question. I am not what I would call a neuropharmacologist. So can I get this? I can probably get this. I'm getting this. So off the top of my head, I don't actually know. I mean, the truth of the matter is we still have a somewhat incomplete picture of what... this is not good. You know, what the causes of depression are, both at the genetic and sort of environmental levels. We have some information, but we don't have the full picture here. Good question. I would have to get back to you on that. I don't know everything.
That's such an exciting area, though. Like,
Yeah,
talking
so
about
actually there's a
psychology.
lot of interest in this area at the moment. And, you know, the truth of the matter is ketamine is a pretty powerful dissociative agent. So, and it's definitely dangerous at high levels. So I really feel like they're going to have to take whatever they learn from ketamine and then make a better drug out of it, because I don't think so you like, ooh, it is snakes. I remembered. You know, I feel like there's just going to be too high of an addiction potential, or if not addiction, misuse.
I mean, that's where a lot of it starts, right? It's just trying the natural thing first, and then
Yep,
advertising
absolutely.
it's processable.
Yeah.
Psilocybin has it's almost
There's a lot of interest in that as an antidepressant as well.
yeah.
There is there's data in both directions. There's been several studies that suggest low dose therapy is helpful in certain forms of depression. There was just a relatively high profile paper the other day. I forget where I had seen this. That in a larger study, it didn't do anything. So, you know, the jury is certainly still out. What's the word I'm looking for here? The government really kind of put their foot down on research into agents that have psychedelic activity back in the late 60s or early 70s. And they basically didn't allow a lot of work to be done. So there's, you know, maybe 50 years of lost progress on these agents, you know, and only recently has there been some more general acceptance that there could be value in some of these agents that were originally, you know, considered dangerous or illegal for one reason or another. So we'll see what happens.
Medical. They have a nasal treatment now called esketamine.
That's right. I forgot about that.
So it's a derivative.
Yeah, I would have to look up to be sure, but you know, it's potentially just a certain formulation of regular ketamine.
Yeah.
I believe all the ravers back in the 90s were also taking it as a nasal formulation, if you know what I mean.
There's a scientific name of nasal
insufflation.
Insufflation. There we go. That's your factoid for the night, ladies and gentlemen. We should do another prediction because it is 9:35 and we are cruising along. Which
it
one
is
do you
way
want?
past my bedtime.
Yeah, we're getting old.
I'm serious. I go to sleep at like 8:30.
We haven't had a lot of emotes, so presumably your son is no longer in chat.
He should be in bed if he knows what's good for him. And
what was that?
I don't know.
You got a phone.
This might be like Amber Alert or whatever.
There is a child abduction Amber Alert.
County. I have no idea where that is. I've lived in Florida now for like 7 years, and I still can't figure out where a lot of places are.
I know 3 buildings on campus. So.
Right, I know. I think the problem is I spent the first 7 years of my life like never leaving.
Yep.
That's not entirely accurate, but you like that back and forth slide action? Look at that.
So the speed run, all they do is slide through the entire game.
It's faster.
Yep. And every single one of these platforms, they will slide.
Oh, dear.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's breathtaking. All right, which prediction do you want to do? Also, are you good on beer, or do you need another?
I am. I'm drinking slowly, as I'm really engrossed here.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. You know what? I'm going to try and get this. Die. Awesome. Can I use my weird catapult dog here to... I can. Super duper. Let's do the third one. That's a good one. I actually didn't know that until I ran across it.
This one's kind of a factoid, kind of prediction, should be fun for everyone. If you're not following, click the follow button, get your 300 standard internet units. You can predict what the answer to this scientific question is. I don't know if it's a scientific question, but it is a question related to science. And so click the follow button, get your 300 standard internet units, bet them on the answer to this question. J is the only letter not on a periodic table, true or false. Do not look at a periodic table. Do this one off the top of your head.
You know,
is J on the periodic table or not?
In support of science, I actually almost wore my periodic table shirt that says I wear this shirt periodically.
It's just the dad jokes.
I know. I can't help it. I think once you reach a certain age, they're forced upon you. You know, like your brain it just happens.
That's fair.
It's not good. But that's all right.
So yeah, if you guys want to make a prediction right now, make your guess. J is the only letter not on the periodic table, true or false. People are taking their time answering this one, so I'm going to assume you're all cheaters, but you are on the Ask the Scientist Gaming honor code where you should not look up a periodic table or look up answers to this question. Throw your guess. Is J on the periodic table? Yes or no?
This is, I wonder how, like,
True
you remember when I would go out to bars a lot, there used to be like trivia, right?
Yeah.
And like, how does that even work now? It's got to be impossible because everybody just looks it up on their phones, right?
So the rule, I did it as a postdoc actually, bar
Did you?
trivia, and the rule was you couldn't have a phone out. And if you had a phone out or anyone
You're
caught you
instantly
with the phone,
disqualified.
Yeah, so you couldn't text message or email or anything, and you were disqualified.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. But we can't watch you Zoom proctoring, honor lock proctoring of Ask a Scientist
Yeah,
games. Is that where we need
seriously.
to go?
Who did I just beat here? Needle Man. I feel like needles
Why is
would
there
be
a glitch
effective.
on this screen? Do you see that?
Yes.
I don't know
It's
what's
not
going on there.
alcohol or
You gotta-
S-ketamine induced.
you clearly got to pull out the cartridge and blow on it.
Oh, those were the days. That actually
It
didn't do
only
anything
exists
other
on
than
that screen. I don't know.
It's
Anyway.
I can block out anything.
All right. Prediction. You have 5 seconds. Guess them now.
Which 5?
All right. All right. So, Rob, J is the only letter not on the periodic table. True or false?
True.
True. J is not on the
Yeah.
periodic table.
So what? Why not? What's wrong with J? That's my feeling.
That is an interesting question. So, what letters aren't on the periodic table? I've never actually looked this up. It's
Yeah.
a fun factoid.
I believe J is the only one.
Is that really? So
Yes.
There's X's, there's Z's,
Yeah. There's essentially everything.
Q's, E's, S's.
Yeah. So
What
there you
about
have.
Q? Well, Q, a lot of the new elements, I guess before they're named, have Q's in them.
Yeah. What about Q? That's a good question. So the nice thing is you're not restrained with Q like you are in words, where you also have to be able to squeeze a U in there. Right?
Yeah, no, that's true. Is a Q on the periodic table? I don't know this. I'm a chemist. I should actually know this. For anyone that's curious, let's go to the browser here. Oh, that's an interesting factoid too. Maximinimus. Lots of Romance languages use J as more of a vowel. International standards tend not to use it. Yeah,
about that?
international standards is a lot more Latin and like Roman roots. That's interesting. So there's our periodic table, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to look through it. Is there a Q?
This cat is overweight. I'm not judging. I'm just observing.
I don't think there's
Also,
a Q.
what did you just spit out of me? Oh, God. What is this thing?
Yeah, I don't think there's a Q.
How about that?
Yeah.
So, in fairness, I don't think that has some of the synthetic elements on it.
Yeah, because some of those, the placeholders definitely had a Q in them in terms of
Yeah.
the naming scheme, but the new names, I don't think that's the case. Yeah. So here's an older. You guys want to look? So before they officially named 113 through 118, there were some that had Q nomenclature. I don't know if you can see those letters, but when they actually renamed them to official names, they got rid of those because I was going to name it after Q. But yeah, J is officially the only one that's never been on the periodic table, as far as I know.
How about that?
So, fun factoid and fun prediction question. All right, so Rob, I don't know if you want to see the outcome, but it was 2 versus 4, 1,000 versus 1.7K, true versus false. So 2.6 to 1 payout for the winners of that. Congratulations, anyone that said true.
Oh, yeah. Look at me go. I don't think this is the right weapon against this guy, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, temporary element names. The process of naming
Yes, ununquadium. That's my favorite.
Man, the process of we saw a talk by a guy that's an expert in like the history of like lanthanide and actinide chemistry, and the process of naming this stuff is just like breathtaking. Like the number
Really?
of hoops you have to jump through, and I mean, because even like early, like during the Cold War, they were hesitant to name things after Russians, but like people advocated like Mendelevium, right? You have to pay honor to these individuals. There are political and social aspects of naming elements.
What
And
is
so
this
there's
guy supposed to be?
hard?
We're gonna leave it at that.
Yep, just that. He's a hard
You
material.
heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Pretty hard index.
That
All right.
Mo's hardness scale. He's all the way at the top. He's the only Mega Man character who can cut a diamond.
It's just a picture of him too. There's no name. It's just a picture.
I love it.
All right. We missed a question a while back.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Tommy Bite wants to know what would a mutation in the E3 ligase gene do? Force the cell to go full force with autophagy or apoptosis?
All right. Oh, look, I have a second dog. Hold on. Oh, that's not going to help. Okay, we got to go with it's like a hydraulic jack dog. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, damn it. Can I curse on here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're at the 18 plus stream.
My kids are asleep. So for those of you who don't know, we talked about how proteins are normally destroyed in the proteasome. You need a way to tell the cell which protein should be destroyed and which ones should not. So proteins that are destined to be destroyed are often first marked with a small protein called ubiquitin. And an E3 ligase is an enzyme whose job it is... This guy is jazzed up. Check him out. This is like my kids when I come home at the end. I need them to be quiet while I'm on like a Zoom call or something. I can't hit this guy. There we go. Anyway, so an E3 ligase, that's fantastic, is an enzyme or a protein whose job it is to put that ubiquitin flag... I'm really sucking it here.
That was close.
Close to terrible. Onto the target molecule that I just have high standards, high personal standards, that marks it for destruction. So there's somewhere around, I don't know, maybe 600 or so of these in the cell, in a human cell. And again, their main job is to put a flag for degradation onto proteins that are supposed to be destroyed. So there's 650 of them, and they all target different proteins inside the cell. And it's very hard to predict exactly what a mutation would do to a particular E3 ligase without a little bit more information. So you could imagine, though, if normally that protein would send an oncogene to be destroyed. An oncogene is a protein that helps to promote cancer development. Then having a mutation in that protein may actually exacerbate or increase the risk for cancer. And that would be bad. So, again, with so many of them targeting so many different proteins, it's a little bit tough to predict exactly what the outcome would be. It's worth mentioning, though, that a lot of E3 ligases tend to target oncogenes, things that prevent cancers from forming. So you could certainly have bad luck, have a mutation in one of those, and then be more prone to developing cancer. Not good. Ken is re-upping on the beer here.
Might as well.
All right, hard man.
It's hard man's weakness, lasers.
I don't know.
It is not lasers.
It does not appear to be lasers.
I think
He's
it's better
shooting
with the
fists at me.
blaster.
Let's try whatever.
The top is a mean weapon.
I can't get it to come out.
Don't remember how to do that, but you have infinite energy. So
Wait. I do remember. You have to press some. Yeah, you know what? We're just going to take a minute to figure out how this works. Oh, there it is. Okay. I have to jump and spin. And that did absolutely nothing to him, and I'm out of top power.
It's a magnet missile.
You're a magnet missile. These needles don't even penetrate his hard exterior. Snakes also do not work. For those of you on the edge of your seats here. Magnet missile. Okay, thank you, CX Xander. I haven't played this one nearly as much as I had played Mega Man 2. So that one, I had pretty much muscle memory on most of this. This one, I'm a little bit rusty. I feel like the uses in Mega Man 2 were a bit more logical, too. Like, why
it would apply?
I guess a magnet kind of makes sense on this guy. He looks like a cement mixer with a helmet. So maybe it doesn't. You know what? I'm trying to rationalize this here. There's no making sense of this.
No,
But that's okay.
no worries. We have infinite energy, so we're powering through this either way.
Super duper.
All right. Anyone just joining us? Guest tonight is Rob Tomko. He's a pharmacologist and expert in cellular machinery, cancer biology, how cells process materials and break down proteins and extrude them. If you have any questions for him, please
I got hard knuckle.
write them in chat. Or if you have advice about Mega Man 3, feel free to comment there as well. Who's next?
I don't know. Who do you feel like could use a knuckle sandwich here?
I don't know the rules.
You got anything for me, CXander here?
Yeah, any insights?
I'm rusty.
Just create a
I mean, it
poll.
doesn't matter. None of these guys can hurt me. So,
No, that's true.
let's see. This guy's electrical. If I applied a magnet missile to him, it should induce a change in the electrical something.
Should it? Or
I don't know. I was
redirect
bad at...
yeah.
There were two things that I couldn't master in physics. One was magnetism and its impact on electricity.
Mhm.
You know, not to quote the... What is this thing? Do you see these? That is not normal.
Oh, something's wrong with the sprites.
I love it.
Oh,
I love it. It's even more complicated now.
our ROM might be broken. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
This guy looks like he's at like a wet t-shirt contest and he's
All right.
flinging it around.
I'm switching us to just chatting just to see. For those of you not familiar, there's a bunch of different subcategories on Twitch, and we don't know what category we fit in because we're kind of chatting, we're kind of science technology, we're kind of gaming. We're not sure what our audience is, but thank you
And
for
we're not
joining
good
us.
at any of them, no.
Yeah, we're mediocre at all of them. Science, we're pretty good, depending on the topic specific.
Discipline, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But yeah, we'll try just chatting. Thank you, Bill, for the suggestion, rotating through, because why not? We'll give it a try.
what are we doing?
Just the subcategories of somebody
Gotcha, okay.
for us. Yeah. All right, it's 9:49. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 predictions
Yeah, garbage.
left. We should do another one. Which one do you want to do?
Let's do...
Oof,
Let's do the second from the bottom.
this one. All right.
I'm eating garbage here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, get ready with your standard internet units. It's time to bet once again on a science question.
Somebody's giving money or something's happening. Ah!
Again, no cheating on this, no looking up the answer. Just use your giant brains as well as what you know of Rob and what his decision-making tree is
Not good, dog.
to decide the answer to this question. It's a biology question or a biophysiology question. What is the length of all the blood vessels in your body? Is it less than 50,000 miles or greater than 50,000 miles? So I think it was Scott Stagg that asked a similar question for DNA. It's actually
That goes,
astounding.
I think, to the moon and back.
It goes to like Pluto and back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. I'll do this.
Oh,
You know, I need my rocket dog. I think it's time to engage my rocket dog.
the question is length of all the blood vessels in your body. Is it greater than 50,000 miles or less than 50,000 miles?
What if
What
it's
is the-
exactly 50,000 miles? I didn't account for this. We
it
need
is
greater
not.
than or equal to.
I looked up because I
I know.
double check all the quality of our questions, but
Translation, Rob is not trustworthy.
it is
Just
not
kidding.
exactly 50,000. I mean,
He's not trustworthy, but he's not trustworthy.
what is your prediction? Is it less than 50,000 miles, greater than 50,000 miles? Let's put 50,000 miles
Thanks,
in
dog.
the context, circumference of the Earth.
It's about two times.
Of 2 times 50,000?
No, it's about twice the circumference of the Earth. The 50,000
Yeah,
miles.
so
It's
the-
about 24,000 miles around the circumference of the
The
Earth.
circumference of the Earth, according to Google, is 24,901 miles.
Do you Google?
The Google.
I always
So,
feel compelled to say it that
We
way.
have about 30 seconds left. What is the
Does this
length
guy like
of all
needles?
the blood vessels in your body? Is it less than 50,000
This guy does
miles
not
or
like
greater
needles.
than 50,000 miles? That is a lot of blood vessels.
Yeah, but
Like, I mean, it implies it's a huge number either way, whether it's greater than or less than. That's kind of breathtaking. All right, 5 seconds left. Throw your predictions in there. Greater than, less than. Throw your guess. Even small points. Let's see what the outcome is. So, Rob, what is the answer?
the answer is greater than 50,000 miles.
greater than 50,000
So-
miles.
You have an enormous number of blood vessels in your body. We think of the big ones that you can see, like in your incredibly pale forearms. I assume you're all as pale as I am. Probably not. But the truth is, there are a huge number of almost microscopic blood vessels that are about 1 blood cell in width, called capillaries. And one of the major functions of capillaries is to help deliver blood to more or less every cell in your body. So when you consider that the average person is something like a couple trillion cells, kilometers. I use the metric system, so I can't think with miles. Yes, I want to remind you that we are coming to you from America, quite possibly the only place on Earth that isn't smart enough to use the metric system.
That's 2
Actually, there's 2 other
Yeah.
countries, and they're ones you typically are hoping not to be associated with, if I recall correctly. In any event, yeah, it's somewhere around 80,000 kilometers. Anyway, those capillaries, they add up big time just because there's so many. There's, I think, billions of capillaries. There's an unbelievable number of capillaries, such that if you actually put them all end to end, you could go around the world twice.
I mean, so just one example of that. So I don't know if you've ever seen like the Body Worlds exhibit.
Yes.
Science Museum, where they
plasticize
plasticize all sorts of organs and things like that, and they have images that look
No, I still
something
can't
like
charge up my blaster
this.
thingy.
And so I should make this a little bit bigger, but I mean that's the lungs right there.
Yeah.
So that's the blood vessels within the lungs, which I mean to get to all those tiny little I don't know what the names of them are.
Bits
but
and pieces.
all
No,
those
just
different
kidding.
packets, you need very, very tiny branching.
Alveoli.
Yeah, alveoli. There you go. And each one of those is associated with the blood vessels, and they are tiny. And so this alone is like 1,000
It's
miles
not the
worth
size
of
of the
vessels.
blood vessel, it's the delivery of oxygenated blood.
Yep, exactly.
Something like that. I'm on the right ballpark. I'm in the right
Yeah.
ballpark there.
And I apologize to Lipa. Sometimes in the questions I convert to metric, other times I don't.
As scientists, we should be ashamed of ourselves,
we
just
should.
for the record.
It's one of those. That's a tough one. This is one of the most frustrating parts of this game.
I always
This
like
section
these
right
parts. I'm probably the only person
Yeah,
that like
you're
these.
clearly a serial killer because no one should like these parts. These are not okay.
I think you're only a serial killer if you have no rhyme or reason to your... Kidding, of course.
But yeah, to Lipu, we apologize for not converting it, but we did convert it to Earth units, which means 50,000 miles was roughly 2 circumferences of the Earth, so we don't feel as bad, but yeah, we apologize.
I'm getting there.
Some imperial units are useful. 0 to 100 represents the range of human long-term survival. That's fair.
There you go. All right.
That's fun. So congratulations to those of you that said greater than 50,000 miles. You got a 11 to 1 payout. So
Sweet.
Tommy Bite and others, congratulations. Use your standard internet units for requesting a factoid or making us take a drink. It is totally up to you.
Please don't make us drink.
Or just simply stand in the satisfaction of getting these answers right when, despite the audience not getting them correct. You can make that jump?
I cannot, clearly. I mean, this thing is like a magnet or something that's pulling me too.
No.
I'm also not focusing very well at the moment.
No worries.
It's cool. I'll make it happen. Eventually. You feel like the monkey's doing...
memory game in the experiment.
I feel like a monkey most days, for better or for worse.
So the dog trampoline doesn't get you high enough for that?
It does not.
How are
Have you
supposed
ever
to
been
get
able to get high and off the dog trampoline? Because I sure haven't. Is that a thing?
It is now.
Trampoline.
Oh, Simpsons reference. So I put up...
Nice.
So,
You're old enough for that.
yeah, exactly. So I teach
Okay.
a group theory class, and there are rules.
Is anyone else watching me fail?
They are all watching you
I
fail.
know.
At least 24 people right now are watching
Awesome.
you fail. But so I teach a group theory class this semester, and group theory is about rules of symmetry, and there's very specific rules that are associated with defining something as a group. And on one of my PowerPoint slides, I had a shot from the Big
There we go.
Lebowski of
That's just
what the hell is his name?
Your opinion, man.
No, where he pulls out the gun and he says, "This isn't Nom, there are rules."
Oh, I forget his name. It was John Goodman.
Yeah, John Goodman.
I know the character.
And like every time I try to reference something in pop culture, I realize the detachment between me and the college students, because it just grows wider and wider every year.
So I basically run all of my crappy jokes past my undergrads now. And they look at me and tell me that they're bad, and then they give me good suggestions.
I mean, bad or not relevant?
Yes, all of the above.
How much dog power do you have here? You could skip.
My personal feeling is you can never have enough dog power. It's not quite as potent as horsepower, I assume, but you know, it gets the job done. Yeah. And I've totally forgotten the pattern for this one.
All right,
and I've continued to drink, so we're going to use whatever dog power it takes here.
He follows you despite not being on him. I did not know that.
Just like a dog. He's very loyal.
Dog. All right, anyone just joining us, welcome to Ask a Scientist Gaming. We combine mediocre gameplay with expert-level science. Today, the guest is Dr. Rob Tomko, who's a pharmacologist and an expert in cellular machinery, waste management in the cells, how proteins break down, and how proteins are processed. He's happy to answer any questions you have about those topics or cancer biology. If you have any comments, feel free to throw them in chat while he battles against the platforms in Mega Man 3.
Oh, dude, check it out. Goodbye, sweet dog.
That's just cruel. You know this is going to be on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Angry letters from
It's
PETA.
not a real dog. I feel like it's okay. He's a robot. He has no feelings. He also might be, I guess he's a robot, so he doesn't even have a gender.
But yes, if you have any questions, throw them in chat. Otherwise, we're happy to keep discussing, and I have some canned questions that we can visit at some point, but...
I don't know much about cans.
Dad jokes.
I'm sorry.
Should I make a highlight reel of Rob's dad jokes?
I should be punished in some way every time I do this, or else I'm never going to learn.
You know, I mean, it'll probably get more views. I don't know.
I like your optimism. I feel like a magnet should have problems with electricity. Let's see what... No, I can't even hit him. I'm not... Ooh, nice.
CXZ, where are you when we need you? Oh, yeah, it's pretty damaging.
I'm changing the direction of his magnetic field to death.
Very nice. Yes, if you have any questions, throw them in chat. We are happy to discuss any topics related to pharmacology, cell biology, biophysics, whatever it might be. We've taken many journeys. Letters on the periodic table, we've also explored that. Greater than 50,000 miles of vessels in our body.
Yeah, and probably, you know, close to 40,000 miles of them are so tiny that you can barely see them, which is kind of crazy.
And it still
easy
works.
to clog.
I mean, what's fun about that is those algorithms for, like, how the veins spread out in the lungs are directly related to, like, fractal theory.
Yeah, so it's basically driven by lack of oxygen. So when some part of the body, doesn't get sufficient oxygen. Oh, there we go. Cracking open number 2. Quick pause. It sends out a signal basically saying, hey, you know, I'm not getting enough oxygen. And it causes new blood vessels to grow toward those cells that aren't getting enough oxygen. So you end up generating a seemingly random pattern, you know, that isn't entirely random, but they're really cool to look at. There was, what was it called? Body Worlds, where they did all the plastizations.
Yeah.
Those were really neat.
Yep. Those are beautiful. I remember seeing that
first organ you would have replaced with a machine. That is an awesome question. The answer is the first one that fails in my body. If you're asking which one is most likely to be replaced by a machine, which isn't currently replaceable, right? So, you know, if you take a look, so the short answer here is that there are things that can substitute for an organ for short periods of time for basically all the critical ones, except maybe the liver. So, you know, you can get dialysis if your kidneys fail. There are artificial hearts Dick Cheney, aside from potentially being heartless to begin with, yeah, I know, actually had lived without a proper heart for quite a while as he waited for, I think, either a transplant or some type of surgery to repair a heart problem that he had. So he had sort of like a little machine that would literally circulate blood through his body, which is kind of crazy. So we can do that. There are some limitations. It doesn't supply blood quite as effectively as a heart would, of course. I know I got lucky there.
Yeah, that was close.
You know, so in most cases they work, but they're not as good as the native ones. There's even something called an ECMO, which is extracorporeal membrane oxygenation system, which can basically serve the purpose of a lung when your lungs aren't working. But, again, you're hooked up to a machine. Most of the time, these things are not small. They're not sort of tiny little replacements that you can put in the same physical space that an organ would normally be in. So, but the things that kill most people at the end of the day, who of course don't die of something like cancer or infection, is either their heart, their kidneys, or their liver. Those are really the organs that you cannot live for long, at least, without. So, I think those would really be the three that we should be focusing on in terms of trying to develop these. There was an article actually the other day. They did the first successful transplant of a pig heart into a human that took and worked. So that's actually a huge deal because there are certain organs that there are much, much longer waiting lists for than others. And I believe hearts is one of the ones where, there's a relatively long wait list and a huge number of people who need them. So, given that I'm sitting here drinking beer, I might want to put my money on liver rather than heart. But
machine liver, does that help you in the Olympics?
Machine liver, yes. All right. Oh, that's right. So now I have to go back and do...
You got to beat all of them?
I have to do question mark. They really just gave up at this point. They're not even giving these guys special powers or names anymore. I don't remember exactly what happens here. This is going to be...
All right, so Wretched Talon has a question. Any thoughts on the role that electron spin plays on biological processes? That is fun.
Whoa.
Do you think about electron spin in biological processes?
Not very often. So the closest I would say... what does this thing want? Can I shoot something up? I'm just... I can't do that. Okay. The closest... What do we got here? Needle? No. Magnet? No. Sooner or later, I'm gonna luck out on something here. So there we go. I don't think that was what they intended for me to do, but that's fine. There are instruments that take advantage of electron spin in order to report on biological events. So probably Ken can talk about this more than I can, like EPR.
Yep, electron paramagnetic resonance.
Yeah. So this is something that is often used in biology to observe the interaction of certain types of metals with biological molecules like enzymes or DNA. It's somewhat limited in use though because you need okay, someone actually asked us to explain what electron spin is. We'll come back to that in a second. That doesn't work either. I feel compelled to try all the options here now. That's not going to work.
No worries. I'll take over on electron spin if you...
Thank you. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind commenting on that.
So electron spin, basically an electron inherent to the electron's existence, it has a spin associated with it. Like you can think of it as an electric charge and it has to have a direction. Electrons alone have a spin associated with them. But for most things, electrons are paired. So one electron has an upspin, one electron has a downspin, and this is based on selection rules and how they can interact and how they cancel. And so for most things, neutral species, these two things cancel out. But you can have lone electrons, and that lone electron has a spin associated with it. And this has broad-reaching implications for all sorts of things, from like quantum computing to how things give off light to all sorts of stuff. But as far as I know, in biological systems, the most intriguing use of electron spin is actually navigation. So when you think about how geese know how to fly south, it's based on magnetic fields of the Earth. And that magnetic field of the Earth has to interact with the magnetic field within their brain.
That's
and
dope.
so they actually have magnetic moments, and I think it's related to electron spin and unpaired electrons.
So there was this weird phenomenon that was reported and not understood for a long time. Cows out in the field will always align themselves with electrical wires. And it's the same basic idea.
Yeah.
I mean, cows are dumber than all get out, but
Yeah.
but you know, oh look, it's Metal Man from the previous one.
But it's so Maximinimus, it's not the traditional sense of spin, at least not when you think about like classic Newtonian physics. When you talk about a top, spin in quantum mechanics is much more of a, like, you need to find, you know, one direction versus another direction. They kind of arbitrarily described it as spin, and so it's kind of meaningful, but it's not. Oof.
Shit.
That was harsh. And so it's not a physical spin. It's
Are you
more of
kidding me?
a-
They put me all the way back at the beginning?
That was brutal.
Oh, I'm gonna have some words with whoever designed this game
How are you supposed to do
40
that
years
part?
ago. Oh, this dog sucks. What's that?
But yeah, spin is in terms of an electron, you can think of it as being up or down, and not necessarily like clockwise, counterclockwise. It doesn't necessarily translate that way.
Here we go.
So yeah, but there's a lot of work right now. Like, there are certain quantum phenomena that might be occurring within biological systems that we don't fully understand.
Yeah.
Electron tunneling, electron spin for communication. It's a really cool area. Right?
It is, I agree. Yeah, so to get back to the original question though, some in the case of an enzyme or something that will bind usually a transition metal, because they're most likely, I think, to have unpaired electrons. We can sometimes use an approach called EPR, or electron paramagnetic resonance, to map or to monitor how the protein interacts with that metal. And that can sometimes help us to understand how the protein normally does whatever it does inside the cell. Again, the limitation though is it has to be a protein that happens to bind an atom that has an unpaired electron, and that's not terribly common. So it's something that it has sort of a niche use, and that use is really powerful, but it's not extremely broadly applied to other things.
Yeah, unpaired spins, you guys might have heard the terminology like radicals or antioxidants. Typically, lone electrons are a bad thing. Like, they're typically very reactive species, and they decompose everything around them. But sometimes they're stabilized in a particular environment that they're not problematic, and they end up being useful. And so, yeah, your antioxidants are trying to get rid of radicals, but sometimes they're okay to have around.
Yep. All context dependent, you know.
Yeah.
Location, as the saying goes. Mm-hmm. It's a good question.
I know, that's a fun one. I mean, that's still a like really pressing question, because like, I mean, I don't know how often you think about quantum phenomena in your field, but they
Not
exist.
terribly often, but you're right, they do. And we probably should think about it. There we go, much better.
Wow.
A little bit more often than we do.
Oh, it's getting cozy. Nice.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, no, that was...
I'm usually very good at getting through the hard parts, and then I bomb it on like simple jumps. You know. Whatever, when you fail spectacularly.
We are at 10:11. We should do one more prediction. Which one do you want to do?
It happened again. What are these things?
I don't know. I apologize.
Let's do the cell diameter one. That's a good one.
All right, cell diameter. Largest. There we go. All right, to anyone that's not following us, click the follow button, take your standard internet units, and gamble them on this question right here.
Blow it all, baby.
We have a metric conversion on this one for those of you that do not want to think
well.
in American freedom units. You are right to be I hate it. I hate the fact we don't use metric, but I won't get into that right
I think almost every scientist hates the fact that metric is not standard.
So if you're not following, follow us. Use your standard internet units. Guess on this question. Largest known single cell diameter. Is it 12 inches or 7 inches? How large is the largest known cell? Keep in mind, cells are typically very small things, but sometimes they grow to be large. Is it as large as 7 inches or 12 inches or 18 centimeters or 30 centimeters? Throw your guess in there right now. Make your prediction.
Watchers everywhere except in the U.S. Yeah,
except in the U.S.
It could be worse. The UK, isn't that the truth?
So does Canada, actually. Canada uses
Canada
empirical for both heights and weights of people, and
That's
presumably
right.
it's sports related because they're so integrated in the American system.
Yeah.
But anyway,
and they've given up probably trying to convince us to do something the rational thing.
all right. So you guys have a minute to make a guess. Is the largest cell 7 inches or 12 inches? You are on the Ask a Scientist honor code where you can't look up the answer. Make your best guess. Is it 1 foot or is it approximately half a foot?
Death before
Throw
dishonor.
your predictions right now. I'm going to run to the bathroom and I'll be back in a minute.
Awesome. I am going to continue struggling to beat this weird robot guy.
Keep entertaining.
I'm on it. As entertaining as I can be. So somebody has asked, so is getting rid of antioxidants the key to developing anti-aging drugs? Yeah, so that's a very good question, and it's one where I think there isn't an absolute answer that's been sort of pegged at the moment. It's pretty clear that oxidation or oxidant damage accumulates over time, and it appears to increase exponentially as we age. So a lot of people have had that thought that we need to find a way to reverse this. And, you know, anyone who has spent any time watching TV or surfing the internet has seen, you know, these ads for, you know, buy this weird product that's full of antioxidants, right? And the idea is always that it'll slow aging or make you look younger or whatever. So here's the interesting thing. Inside every cell in your body, there's an incredibly powerful, antioxidant system. And it absorbs an enormous amount of oxidative damage every day. You know, so we never think about this, obviously, but it's absolutely enormous. Just to give you some perspective, I think you experience several 100,000 oxidative modifications of DNA every day. And normally these are repaired or absorbed. But, you know, so realistically, eating your acai bowl, or how do you pronounce that? ACAI. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I have no idea what that is.
Awesome. They sell it at Sam's Club or Costco, so it must be important. Anyway, so, you know, they claim, oh, you eat this or you use this antioxidant face cream or whatever, and, you know, you'll look younger, feel younger, live longer, and it's basically all a crock. Because the minuscule amount of antioxidant that you're ingesting or applying to your body in this cream or this food or whatever is completely dwarfed by what's already in every cell in your body. So, you know, it's the equivalent of a drop of water in an ocean, right? So my personal feeling is that you're not really doing any good by trying to eat antioxidant-rich foods per se. It's usually that the food itself is good for you rather than it's rich in antioxidants, you know. So, here we go. I actually did...
All right, so that was the... so it's getting rid of antioxidants to keep developing... Okay. All right, so we're going to catch up on things, particularly what's the largest known single-cell diameter? Rob, what is the answer?
It's about 12 inches across.
That is a big cell.
Right? I mean, that's a
huge cell.
That's 30 centimeters for the rest of the universe, or the rest of the world here. I'm so embarrassed. Yeah, so there's a type of algae. I forget what the name is. You can probably look this up with your massive internet powers. That grows to really enormous sizes, and a single cell can be almost a foot across, which is kind of crazy. So usually we think about them being something you have to look at under a microscope, and this is one you can basically pick up.
It's an algae called Chloropa taxifolia.
Sure, why not?
I apologize if I murdered that.
I don't think it has the mental capacity to be offended. So you're probably in the clear there.
Sorry if I offended any biologists in the audience. Texas Space Agency, welcome back. It's good to have you.
Can I dribble and dunk this organism? I believe in you. Let's go with that. You know, in fairness, I don't have a great mental picture of how bouncy it might be. You know, it could be the equivalent. Ooh, I made it. That was close.
It was cozy.
It could. Where's this guy trying to get to?
Over you.
Well, yeah, and then he just comes right back. I mean, who actually took the time to make a robot?
Algae. That's crazy. Like, that has to be deep sea or something, right? Like the pressure
You know,
gradient.
honestly, most algae grow on the surface because they use light for energy.
Yeah, no, that's good.
So I would actually be shocked if it was more than a couple feet underwater.
That's pretty crazy.
I know, right? I also wouldn't have guessed algae. But, you know, crazy stuff. There are some... Oop, go ahead.
99% of the audience said 12 inches. 1% says 7 inches. So I wrestle with
Do you
these...
think they're overestimating length like many people do?
Well, that's the hard part about writing these questions, and I've really tried to get a feel for this, because there's certain questions they have meta information, like why would you ask unless it was this answer?
Yeah.
Or why wouldn't you have the large value? So if I would have put 15 inches versus 12...
They all would have gone 15, you think?
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's...
Battle. Next time.
I'm totally doing an experiment next time. For better or for worse.
Yeah.
Let's assume I can dunk with the best of them. You're clearly taller than I am then. or less fat. Or maybe a combination of the two. You know, again, I can't comment on the bounciness. I don't know if you've ever tried to dribble a flat basketball. It does not go well.
Z Hudson, welcome to the stream. Thank you for your first time chat. The comment is, hi, Dr. Tomko. Maybe a student, maybe not.
I am from Pennsylvania. I grew up right outside Philadelphia. Wooter? So I say Wooter. We actually spell it W-O-O-D-E-R there, just for the record. I also go yeah instead of yeah, like normal people. And we have a bunch of other words that we use that no one understands and or makes fun of us for.
Yeah.
Blacksmithing economists are known for their b-ball skills. I'll have to take your word for it there. What's your medium in terms of blacksmithing? What do you normally make? So I actually have done quite a bit of metal work back in the day.
So Texas Space Agency actually streams his blacksmithing. So
really?
You can watch him do blacksmithing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Twitch is not just
PA, I unashamedly went to IUP. How about that? Small world.
Schmonite. Thank you.
That was 99.5.
40% of Harlem Globetrotters are economists. I question that,
prove you
but
wrong.
I can't argue with that factoid.
Is there something about economy knowledge that makes you able to spin a basketball like really well? Because I might need to start reading economy textbooks. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so Bill, to answer your question, it was 99% to 1, but that's based on the dollar amount or the internet point betting. It was 5 people versus 2. And so the 5 people were very confident in their answer to that question. I'm glad Twitch gives us those stats, because it's really...
That is kind of fun.
I would love to give a test in general chemistry where people could actually bet how confident they are. Like, it would give you meta information on the assessment. Like, it's a really intriguing thing.
General, traditional, and utilitarian blacksmithing. Fair enough. So
yeah, I caught him on a stream on it. It was like Monday night or something. He was like, "I need this tool," so I made a cardboard cutout, and now I'm gonna machine that tool.
Yeah,
so it's like,
I actually really miss doing that. You know, I think one of the reasons I like being a scientist personally is you kind of get to work with your brain and your hands. You know, I think depending on your career stage, sometimes it's more one or the other.
Yep.
But you know, you get to sort of combine those things, and I always tell people, and this is true, I think if I hadn't gone into science, I'd probably either be like a welder or a mechanic. So in my first apartment, when I left for graduate school, I actually had a bunch of metal furniture that I made myself.
That's awesome.
And it was just awful and unbelievably heavy. But you know what? I was broke back in the day, and it was really helpful. So anyway, I kind of miss it. I haven't done a whole lot of metal work since then. It's one of those things that I just don't have time for anymore.
So to fill that void, my group recently got a 3D printer.
Oh, dude.
For parts and pieces and sample holders and all sorts of stuff. If you need to use it, you are welcome to. But
yeah,
it's,
you know,
it's a fun tool.
Oh my goodness. I know. I always wanted to 3D print like some of the proteins we study. You know, because we generate structure files, you know, which is basically coordinates of where the atoms are in a particular protein or whatever it is that we're studying. And in principle, you can just translate that pretty easily to a 3D printer and print like a 3D copy of the protein or whatever it is that you're studying. And I just thought that would be really cool.
That's awesome. I don't know if our printer is going to be the quality you want, but we can give it a try.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be pretty easy.
You can use quadratic voting for multiple choice tests, given a certain number of confidence points to distribute amongst the questions.
Plus or minus the square root of...
So I do statistical analysis. I recently published an article in Journal of Chemical Education using statistics to analyze my Gen Chem tests. But it's such a, like, adding weighting to question values is crazy to me. How you actually interpret those outcomes and what the value is. I'm intrigued, but it's very interesting.
Okay, I want to make tools and have started making my own. Mostly I make cutesy stuff like bottle openers, fire pokers, code hooks, etc. How many shivs have you accidentally made? Because when I was forging, like, I'd be trying to make stuff and I'd end up with these, like, crap things that weren't really good. No, really. You know, and then I would usually try and turn them into a chisel. So I have, like, 500,000 malformed chisels in my garage at home that I made when I was younger. Good times. It's bringing back a lot of good memories. And a lot of burns. But, anyway. Yeah, no, you know, I do wish I did it more. I still sort of wrench a lot on cars and motorcycles in my fair time. I do all the maintenance and repair on my vehicles and whatnot, and that's sort of the closest I get to metalwork nowadays. Every now and then I have to make something, you know, but I wish if I had more time, you know, this is something that I would like to get back into.
Yeah, if you guys are intrigued by like blacksmithing and metalworking, check out Texan Space Agency's stream. It's really fun. He's got like 3 cameras set up to check everything from the anvil to the like heating mantle to everything. So yeah, check it out. It's pretty fun to watch.
It seems like it should be easy, and it is not. So you know, whenever you see something that somebody like legit made, you know, you should give them some props.
I mean, what I'm impressed by is like the physical labor that goes into it.
It's not easy.
Physically hard, and it's dexterous. Like you have to have nuanced skill, but do it with force. It is underappreciated how technically and physically strong you have to be.
And the temperature of the metal is key. You know, if you heat it up too much and then you give it a good whack, you totally deform it, and there's sometimes like no going back.
Yeah, you get one try.
And then you get a bunch of crappy chisels. Just to come full circle here, you know. By the way, if you want crappy chisels, I got you covered.
I want one crappy chisel.
All right. Next time I do this, I'm going to bring you a chisel as a you know.
That's awesome.
Punishment. I don't know what the right word is here, but you get the idea.
We'll call it housewarming.
All right. Super duper. Yeah. Anyway, so it was good. But yeah, I've done a good bit of welding. I've done some casting, you know, from molds, and done a bunch of stuff. Used to be good at it.
All right.
And my favorite thing was always to make sheet metal ninja stars and then stick them into the ceiling. Which, wherever I was at the time when I was doing this, it was frowned upon.
So back to the science. Maximinimus has a fun question. Has the first human to live 150 years been born yet?
I don't think so. You know, I think this is something that we cannot prove or disprove at the moment. I also want to be clear that when I think of living to 150 years, that's without, like, you know, Futurama style, removing the brain and putting it in a jar kind of thing.
I mean, so we're at 123 right now.
122.
If I remember correctly, yeah.
Jane Calmet's. She actually had a glass of wine and 2 cigarettes every day up until she died. That's hardcore. I've had like a beer and a half, and I'm like, you know, I can feel my liver failing.
Clements. Born in 1875.
Yeah.
Holy
That's
crap.
hardcore.
122 years and 164 days.
Yeah. So, you know, and there, you know, there have been a lot of people over the years, and, you know, large in a way, she's outlived almost everyone. I think there's only maybe one other person that's lived into the 120s. The truth of the matter is we have a time-dependent accumulation of damage that occurs. Some people are better suited to minimize that damage over the course of their life than others, and that's why they tend to live longer. That and a bit of luck, you know, being in the right places at the right time, having good nutrition over the course of their life, and so on, right? So there's also a strong environmental component. But, you know, the fact of the matter is, especially in the U.S., life expectancy is actually going down again. So we've sort of done as best we're going to be able to do here. The other thing is, you know, statistically speaking, if we look at the distribution of all recorded ages, more or less, oh, I'm dead. You know, we're many standard deviations outside the norm, even at 122. So my personal feeling is that 150 is way beyond what's possible. But again, this is all conjecture on my part. I don't study aging for a living. And I am not yet 150 or even close, thankfully, so I don't really know. Ooh, science and blacksmithing question.
So, man, we have a fun follow-up to that age question, and it's a prediction, actually, which Rob wrote ahead of time.
How old is Rob? Oh.
How old is Rob?
How old does Rob behave is
Greater
really the better
than
question.
less than 102.
It's you.
Right.
It's in there somewhere.
So we have an age question unrelated to humans, but an interesting question nonetheless.
Oh,
Some
I forgot
animals
about
can
that.
live a really long time. This prediction is some clams can live up to 500 years. True or false? How long can the longest lived clams actually live?
How much wood can a woodchuck chuck? How much life can a clam live? Yeah, why not?
Up to 500 years. True or false? I guess
That's
I gotta
an
frame this as
old
greater
clam.
than, less than.
Yeah.
I mean, the life of a clam is a fairly simple one, and to do that for 500
Who are you to judge?
years- You're right. I'm just an asshole. Clams.
Until
yes.
you've walked a mile in the shoes of that clam.
Can a clam live up to 500 years? So there are shark species that live
About 400.
400 years.
Yeah, so the Greenland shark is the one that at the moment is known to be the oldest. They found them with all sorts of things from, you know, the 1700s in their stomachs or lodged in them somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
1700. So they're starting to get on, like, you can track volcanic eruptions based on the isotope concentration
Yeah,
of
no,
something
really.
in their stomachs. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So that's hardcore.
Yeah.
I would be happy with even 1/3 of that.
All right, 30 seconds left. Ooh, 1/3 of that. Would you, though? I mean, it depends on
I don't know.
quality of life.
Yeah, so
Real
we
question.
actually teach this in medical school and physician assistant school. Down to genetic mutation. I'm calling PS on diet mattering. You know, I think if you were nutrient deprived during a large portion of your life, you're not going to be as best capable of dealing with you know, all the different toxins, exposures, etc. You know, environment has a huge impact on your lifespan. A great example of this is, you're gonna laugh, but truckers. You know, we've all had the, you know, said, you know, oh, I have trucker arm, right? But if you look at truckers who have done the job for, you know, 40, 50 years, the side of their face that's on the outside of the cab is very noticeably older than the other side from an increased light exposure, sun exposure. You know, and that's an example of skin aging more rapidly, right, in this case. But, you know, the same is true for whatever goes into the body. So, you know, I really do think that environment is a huge component. It's not the only component. Genetics is also, of course, huge. But, you know, if you smoke, you know, 2 packs a day, you're almost guaranteed not to make it to 100, and even 100, right? You know, you're going to die of heart disease or something else long beforehand. If you live in an unusually polluted city, your lifespan is shorter. You know, it's just the way it is. So that's my personal feeling. Anyway, back to clams.
I don't know if that's like that's supported.
This is only
by
the third
evidence.
time in my life I've had to say anyway, back to clams.
Anyway,
Just
back
kidding.
to clams. What is the outcome? Some clams can live to 500 years. True or false?
True. The Quahog, I believe, is one of the oldest living clams. I don't remember if that's the one that actually makes it to 500, but many clams are very old. They don't like when you talk about... Oh, that's a long question. I'm going to let you read this.
Yeah, it is. If you want to keep going on the clams, but like there's some clam that has existed on the bottom of a lake or the sea.
Yeah, I think most of the ones...
100 years.
Right, so before like America was settled
Yes.
by invading Europeans, you know, before, you know, a lot of the most impactful events of modern humanity occurred. It's really crazy.
I mean, 500 years. That clam saw the Industrial Revolution. It
Yeah.
saw the like, I don't know, the French Revolution. Like,
Yeah, no, I know.
that is absolutely insane. All right, so Texan Space Agency.
I like where this is going because it has at least 4 major points.
Before my question, it requires these premises. Light can be represented as a particle or as a wave. Hotter objects emit more radiation, Boltzmann's law.
I must emit a lot of radiation.
Emitted radiation from hotter objects has a shorter wavelength.
I've scared off our remaining listeners.
As I
Viewers.
heat metal for our purposes of black body, it emits thermal radiation, then glows red, orange, yellow, white, bluish, and then emits heaps of UV. Okay, all that premises make sense. If I had a super material that would not melt and continue to heat it, would it cease? Would I cease to see it at some point? As in, would it be dominated by UV radiation? So what you're
We're
actually
off the
talking
visual
about is
spectrum.
something really, really cool historically in quantum mechanics, and it's called the UV catastrophe. So
I like the sound of
classic
this.
physics basically said what you're talking about, right? If you keep heating it more and more, eventually it's going to emit higher and higher, and it indefinitely emits higher energy photons. But the thing is, quantum mechanics fundamentally limits that based on the Boltzmann distribution, that you can only go so hot. And so one of the things that made quantum mechanics happen was that classical physics could not describe things like this UV catastrophe. And so they basically needed a new set of rules. And so you can heat things up, but it'll only heat up so much before it starts to not, I don't know, not continue on a linear scale. Instead, it obeys different rules that are based on quantum mechanics. And we're talking about breaking the rules of quantum mechanics. So no, it is unlikely you'll heat it enough to not be able to see it because it'll still have a residual tail, but based on Boltzmann statistics. But with classical physics, that was one of the problems they were trying to address.
That's crazy.
So that's pretty cool. So I don't think it's possible to move beyond the visible spectrum with
Eventually, it will burn your retinas. No? No.
Thanks. Can I quote you on my stream? Yes. You can check out the YouTube video. If you guys aren't following us on YouTube, this entire stream will be up. Social will give a link to our YouTube channel. But yeah, this entire stream will be up if you want to quote us on that. But yeah, look up the UV catastrophe because it was really a breaking
Check out them
point.
eyebrows. Sorry.
There was a contingent of physicists at the turn of the 1900s that said physics is solved, and other people were like, what about this thing, and this thing, and this thing? And they were just devastatingly wrong because all of a sudden quantum mechanics and relativity came to birth at about the same time. So yeah, really cool historical example that, I mean, something directly relevant to blacksmithing, which is really fun. Sorry, I took over there. I
No, it's cool.
That was
You're
near and dear to my heart.
I understand. No hard feelings.
Photons and light are my thing, you know?
That's your jam.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
All right, anyone just joining us, Ask a Scientist Gaming. We're playing some Mega Man 3. We're also, the guest today is
Badly.
Rob Tomko, who will talk about pharmacology and cell biology and cancer.
You name it.
Yeah, he's happy to answer questions, including the age of clams, which the answer is they can live to be greater than 500 years, which is absolutely insane.
An old ass clam. Do you think that would be like less apt? Like, would it taste worse? Do you think?
I don't know. I mean, what's your frame of reference? Like, the whole wine industry is a big scam, right? Because even experts can't tell the difference.
I know, I
between an
love
old
that.
bottle and a young bottle. So, is the same true for clams? I don't know. I'm not.
Oh, that worked.
not-
Sweet. I didn't know if I was going to make it. I don't know.
It's above
I feel
my pay
like
grade.
people eat the equivalent of bugs from the ocean a lot and don't really think about it.
Well,
So, like, you know, like, to me, a lobster looks an awful lot like a roach. I know I'm breaking a lot of people's hearts right now. Are you looking to see if they're evolutionarily related?
No. There's a term in economics where there's a supply and demand curve, right? But there's at some point there's a portion of the curve where something becomes so expensive that becomes more valuable because it's perceived to be of value.
Yes.
And so it completely breaks those rules where people pay more despite it not being as useful.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those scenarios. A 500-year-old clam might not taste good, but how many people
will
can
pay
eat
for it
right?
because, hey, old ass clam.
What is the economist? Text in if you know this answer, please put it in
we
chat.
had some economist earlier.
Yeah.
Please help us. We have clam questions.
But
I never thought I'd say this
either. It has
either.
a very specific term. It's like there was an app for the iPhone where they charge $500 to have like a gold screen.
And a bunch of idiots paid for it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So we crossed 1038. We're still going to play some Narc tonight. Do you want to beat this and then go to Narc? How close are you?
You know what? I have no idea what I'm doing.
All right.
I'm partially drunk. I
Is it time to
am
jump?
way past my bedtime. I'm glad I'm still at least intelligible. I say let's go for it.
Well, we're going to transfer to Narc.
Yeah,
All
let's
right,
do it.
ladies and gentlemen, tradition in Ask a Scientist Gaming as we close the game with Narc. Rob Tomko, you are going to beat... You're going to win the war on drugs. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, how'd that work for Reagan?
It's about as well as it works. So
Wait, do I get to be blue guy or red guy? And do we have the slightest idea what model car this is? Because I certainly can't tell.
it's the Say No to Drugs car.
Oh, this is way worse than I remember.
Oh, no. So, Rob, you have history with this game.
Yeah, I spent a lot of quarters on this back in the day when it was in the arcades.
In the arcade.
For those young people, arcades were where... Oh my god, it's terrible. I love it. These guys look like monks. They're supposed to be homeless men or drug dealers. Why would drug dealers dress like this? Arcades were basically rooms full of video games where you would go to play back in the day. They pretty much don't exist anymore.
That's awesome.
Unfortunately.
Texan gave us an answer. It's called a Veblen good. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. Veblen, V-E-B-L-E-N. I'm going to put the link to Wikipedia in chat. It's a luxury good for which the demand increases as the price increases.
I'm thinking I have to go into the store.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a god.
Oh, I didn't
game.
start the speed run. Damn it.
Oh, should we restart?
No.
Okay.
Actually,
No.
Let's restart.
I'm dead.
There you go. So I put on the speed run timer.
All right. What am I trying to do here?
So most of the time it's go right and go in a door. Killing people does not give you additional
I see.
speed. So I'll
This
start
is the
clock.
standard run right and don't die.
Yep.
Roger that.
You also have infinite lives, so die all you want. It just takes extra time. The record in this is by Rob Lazenby in the chemistry department. He did it in 19 minutes and like 20 seconds. That's amongst the Ask a Scientist guest.
I see. Of course, this is not. It won't stand up to the experts on Twitch here.
All right, we have an actual science question. Scuzzbot10 wants to know, what's the difference between cancer treatments for animals versus humans? Why do animals handle it better?
I don't know that they actually handle it any better. We just can't really ask them how they're feeling, I would say. So, cancer in the most general sense is a disease where an organ or tissue continues to grow when it's not supposed to, right? The reason that occurs, oh man, I'm dead, differs greatly depending on the tissue. How'd I do here? I'm off to a bad start.
No, you're doing fine.
All right. So different things have to go wrong in different tissues for you to develop a cancer in that tissue. Ultimately, all of the approaches that have traditionally been used to treat cancer are designed to slow or stop cells from dividing. I just got hit in the thigh with a needle. I forgot about this. I mean, would these guys really waste all these drugs if they had them? Like, do you know how expensive this would be?
Do you remember going through DARE? Like, you probably had the DARE program. They're like, every corner somebody's going to give you free drugs, and in college you were looking for those corners.
And you're like, why?
No one's giving
why
me
is
free
no
drugs.
one like? I'm getting overcharged for things here. Anyway, yes, I definitely remember that.
It did not work out well. There's your clock if you're curious.
All right. I am. Why is this door not opening? I don't have the blue safe card. Where do I
Here's
get
a
the blue?
follow-up comment on the.
Where do I get the blue safe card?
You got to shoot guys near the door with bullets and not rockets. So I didn't give you any instruction on this because I assumed you were a veteran from the arcade. But
It's not quite the same as the arcade,
yeah, you
though.
only get 2 buttons. So B, if you tap B, it jumps. If you hold B, it squats. If you tap A, it rockets. If you hold A, it's bullets.
Where's
And so
my
you
card?
have to kill these guys with bullets.
I just shot a dog in the face. Fantastic.
So you have to kill these guys with bullets instead of rockets. So hold the A button. You haven't finished.
Oh, I
bullets.
see.
Don't lose sleep over. Yeah.
And then I steal their drugs.
Yep.
Got it. And their money.
Yep.
Yes, this is exactly how I remember it now.
And so for these guys,
Ooh,
if the
nice
card
bag of
drop,
Coke.
you have to shoot them when they're close to you for some reason.
In order for what?
In order for them to drop the card. It's something about the radius of your shooting matters. So you only want to shoot them when you're close, and it's only the black guys that will drop cards. The black wearing guys.
Wearing
Sorry.
black, just to be clear.
I don't want.
I don't want to
Shooting
be
black guys on
misunderstood
screen.
here.
All right. So following up on that, the
Oh, safe card. All right, so I'm like totally out the window here as
Yep.
far as the record is going to go.
So the Veblen good is the luxury good which demand increases if price increases. There's also a theoretical
AKA Dumpster Man.
Griffin good that are low-income non-luxury goods for which the demand increases as the price increases, but it's debatable if that exists. That's really fun. Squirrel. Man. All right, anyone just joining us, we are closing out Ask a Scientist Gaming with Narc. Rob Tomko is playing Narc for the first time again in 30 years. Never played on the Nintendo Entertainment
And I'm
System.
collecting as
You
much
can
cocaine
jump
as I can
in
get.
the car.
Of course.
So tap B instead of holding. Yep.
Oh my god. The controls are
The
awful.
tragedy is that you're gonna hit a wall.
Thanks for the heads up there.
No
Yeah.
problem. It could be said that rice or wheat is a Giffen good.
How about that? Oh, I just shot a rocket.
So this is
The
the
bridge.
slowest level in the game.
This is going to take forever. There's
Yes.
like a little progress bar at the top, and this is not promising at all. Oh, this guy just punched me in the face.
Fudged you to death. All right. If anyone has any questions,
Oh, this
for
is the
Rob,
dude I'm supposed to... No, it's not the dude I'm supposed to kill.
No, you don't have to kill any people except for the final boss and the people that drop cards. Everyone else you can walk right by.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, if anyone has any last minute questions for Rob Tomko about pharmacology, cancer biology, throw your questions in chat. I'm going to throw one in there right now because I'm excited to hear your answer to this.
Uh-oh.
If you had unlimited resources and no moral qualms, what experiment would you conduct?
Besides the steroid league?
Besides the steroid league.
Oh, what would I do? If I had unlimited resources.
Oh, you didn't finish the animals versus
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. for
I
the-
get sidetracked really easy.
No, it's fine. We're substantially drunk and like narc, so this
Yes.
is all forgivable.
And collecting cocaine is by far the more important thing at this point in the evening.
But animal versus cancer.
yeah,
animal versus human cancer.
so basically the disease is the same in an animal and a human. It varies from tissue to tissue in both. Was that supposed to be a dog?
That is a dog. So you can
it?
squat by holding B.
I can just let him bite me, right?
I mean, if you're a humanitarian or an animalitarian.
Oh god, look at the blood. I don't remember that. And
There you
then
go.
why do they get smaller when I shoot them? Has anyone figured this
You
out?
know, narc physics.
Ah, yes, of course. So anyway, the drugs used to treat cancer traditionally are called conventional chemotherapies. They're the ones we think of when we say somebody is on chemo. Oh my God, I'm taking out barrels. You know, they basically work by trying
Slow?
to stop. Where's the fun and slow? I'm gonna go all out, man.
Don't worry, there's another car.
They work by trying to slow or stop cells from dividing, and cancer cells tend to be more sensitive to this, and if you're lucky, they die, and then you don't have cancer anymore. There are newer agents that target the specific things that happen to go wrong in cancer cells, but they really have to be tailored to each different type of cancer, because the things that go wrong and lead to cancer are different in every tissue type. So this has to be one of my one of my medical or PA students, what is the mechanism of action of abciximab?
Oh no, you killed the car.
Yeah,
I was going to tell you to stay on the bottom.
You're distracting me. I'm trying to drive a car while high on cocaine here, I think.
All right.
I mean, I'm not sure. Am I actually using all the drugs I pick up from these guys, or?
All right, so we answered the animal versus human cancer question. Why do animals handle it better?
Yeah.
All right. And so the next one in the list here is MM14Y wants to know, what is the mechanism of action for ABCIXIMAB?
That's a great question. I want to know who this is.
Thank you for the first time chat, MM14Y. I'm going to assume it's one of your students, but...
It must be. So abciximab is a chimeric monoclonal antibody that binds to the GP2B, GP3A heterodimeric receptor on platelets and prevents them from sticking to each other. So it's used as an anticoagulant or an anti-clotting drug, usually in people who have a genetic predisposition to clots. So if you get a clot in the blood vessels that lead to your heart, you have a heart attack. If you get a clot, I'm just making up words now, it's true. Strategery.
Confive.
Yeah, I don't even know how to say it.
Yeah. Strategery isn't even the most embarrassing presidential statement anymore.
Nuclear. There's another good one. So basically, where's I going with this? It prevents your blood from clotting. If you get a clot in the blood vessels that lead to your heart, you have a heart attack. If you get one in the blood vessels that feed blood to your brain, you have a stroke. So both of these are obviously really debilitating and potentially deadly. So that's one of the agents that you can use. I'm getting stabbed by clowns. I forgot about this. They look a lot different than they did in the arcade game, that's for sure.
And I know you're going to be disappointed by this, but they've removed the hookers from this level.
No!
Yeah, no. Nintendo's pretty
They
clean
were in
cut.
like crapo leopard print, weren't they?
Yep, they were.
Because nothing says hooker like leopard print, I guess.
So you're going in that door right there.
Oh, the adult bookstore, which has no books.
So what's fun is like
More hookers.
Nintendo has a notorious clean cut image, but they still let this go through, but they change things like instead of saying crack on the wall, it says quack.
Why not? Oh, what happened?
So you can't go in the door again after you exit. It's stupid where it puts you out on the outside.
Okay. So what do? I just keep running to the right, or do I go through
the door, but don't go up further. Just stay after you get through. Don't.
Okay.
There you go, and then you go left in the cart.
Right.
All
Adult books. Exit.
Sorry, did we answer the ABCIX abixmab?
Yes. Who is that? I want to know.
He demands you reveal yourself. You don't have to. This is entirely anonymous on Ask a Scientist Gaming, but we appreciate the question because we like a range from social to psychological to really. Oh, go back. There's a door somewhere.
I'm doing a really poor job here.
They said yes, thank you. I will.
I'm
pass
also
the
being
quiz
stabbed.
now.
You're welcome.
All right.
I believe in you.
Maximinimus has a fun question. Do you think the world would be a better place if more cancer patients had access to more aggressive drugs?
More aggressive. Where am I going now?
You're going out of this room. There's going to be a card door after you
These
exit.
dogs are killing me.
So you're going far to the right. So you can squat, shoot. There you go.
And then they turn small. Got it. Tiny dogs. Fighting my...
So all the way to the right. Go through the door, but don't press too high up.
Yes.
Go right, and you'll see a key card right there. Yep.
Okay. What was I answering?
So
I'm losing it here.
Would the world be a better place if more cancer patients had access to more aggressive drugs? So to provide context, there's a restriction on controversial drugs and who can take them, right?
I mean, so I think this is a complicated question. So first things first, I think it's worth pointing out that there is not always an obvious drug that will treat or cure or even treat a particular cancer.
It's the only level you go left.
Of course.
Through the marijuana explosive.
And did I just touch a tree and it blew up?
Yes, you did.
All right, why not? We've sort of suspended all logic at this point anyway.
Yeah, no, it's all downhill from here.
Insert green safe card, which I don't have.
So you'll have to shoot the Rambo-looking guys until you get a green card.
Okay. Super duper. And it's probably off screen where I can't reach it.
Yep.
Fantastic. So I'm just going to keep shooting these guys in the meantime. Oh, those are bullets. Why is he running so far past me?
Fun factoid about an arc is this did not exist in the original arcade game. This was actually part of a patch that they released after the initial release.
Really?
So you could actually patch arcade games, and I don't know how that worked, but this was additional information added later. So
yeah. Anyway, so you know, this is why a lot of people still die from cancer. The drugs that we have to treat it are not very good, save for a few. Oh, excuse me. A few isolated types of cancer in which the mechanism by which they arise is very well defined and easily targeted. You know, I think I just got run over. Awesome. Actually, I just flew up in the air and then landed on my feet again, which is kind of amazing. You know, oh man, just getting axed by this clown. This is why nobody likes clowns.
Yeah, that's why. We solved it.
And why didn't he get taken out by the car?
Scuzzbot 10 redeemed. Take a drink.
All right.
Cheers, Scuzzbot 10. Thank you for the question that we eventually answered.
I would just like you to know that I got stabbed to death because I was taking that drink.
Do you feel guilty?
Probably not, and I don't blame you. This clown is like, he's after me though.
Yeah, they're not messing around.
Anyway, so you know, we're getting better at treating cancer, you know, but the truth of the matter is we still have a very rudimentary idea of how many cancers arise, what their weak points are in terms of how we can treat them.
Scuzzbot 10.
Not even
a little bit.
I like the cut of your jib.
And redeemed. Take another drink.
All right.
Getting punished.
At least I'm getting needles in the back while I drink this one. So,
Yeah.
you know, presumably that'll take away some of the pain from being stabbed by the clown.
Well, so you're on a speed run. Every time you get shot, I think 6 times, you lose a second. So,
yeah, I sort of gave up doing a good job here a while ago, though.
no worries.
I mean, all joking aside, how close am I to the end? Am I even...
Yeah, you're getting really close, actually.
Oh, okay.
The final boss is pretty janky, so we'll see how long that takes. That's usually the rate-limiting step.
I see.
But somebody should request
We're
a
making-
factoid right now, because I have a really fun factoid that we just created, actually, on stream. Does
Is
anyone
this
have
related
points?
to cocaine or...
I mean, maybe, but actually, I can request a factoid. There we go. Scuzzbot 10 redeemed to request a factoid. So as of just like 3 minutes ago, we have officially crossed 2,500 unique viewers on Ask a Scientist Gaming.
Yay!
So after a year of streaming, and I think this is our 30th guest on stream, we have officially crossed 2,500 unique viewers on Ask a Scientist Gaming.
How many
So,
guests have been stabbed by clowns?
all of them.
Is
All
that,
of them at this point.
do you advertise that as a perk? Because I was not aware ahead of time. Just to be clear.
I should have told you. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
So we actually have the arcade version on here.
Really?
We have an emulator that plays it through the, I think it's the GameCube had an emulator for it.
No
so
kidding.
next time, if you want to play the arcade
These
version,
dogs are killing me.
we have it.
All right. We might need to do that because this is a very poor reproduction, as I'm sure you...
Yeah, no,
Are aware.
it's not great. They tried to put an arcade on an 8-bit system. This is what they
Yeah.
actually did. Is it appropriate
was-
to do a speed run on a Dare game? That's funny. That is a... yeah, no, he pieced it together.
I'm
Well done, Texans.
slow.
No worries. It's harder when you're... Okay, so you have to rocket the guy in the wheelchair.
Done and done. This is not the first time I've launched a rocket at a person in a wheelchair. No, it is. Don't worry.
Have you ever gotten this far in the arcade game?
No.
Did you beat-
I mean,
okay,
this would be
this
like
is-
several $100s in probably at this point, right?
At least. So tap the A button.
Oh,
Yep,
I see.
There you go.
And then I have to
You have to rocket
shoot
the
this
wheelchair
impossible
guy.
wheelchair guy.
Yep.
This is not going well. Also, I'm dead.
I mean, it's going kind of the way it's supposed to the first time you play it, having never played it before.
What did I just do to that guy? It looked like I and got very intimate with him, and then he flew off into space.
If I had a rocket for every person in a wheelchair, we would all have to be able to park better.
Oh, dear Lord.
Oh, man.
Going to hell.
That was a comment I read. That was not my personal comment.
Die, wheelchair guy. That is fortunately the first time I've ever said that. Get off my ass, dog.
We'll take
What the heck is the dog doing? It's like celebrating. Dogs don't care this much.
Oh, he's attacking you. He's mauling you when he does that. The little dance he does is a maul.
Oh, I busted. I arrested him. Okay.
Yeah, if you stand over them, you arrest them.
Oh, dude, I got the wheelchair dude, I
Now
think.
inchworms. Now you have to do it 2 more times.
Are you kidding me?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're approaching the end of Ask a Scientist Gaming.
What the hell?
Gameplay, expert level science. The guest today is Rob Tomko, who is an expert in pharmacology and cancer biology and cells processing, waste management of proteins and things like that. If you have any questions, throw your last.
Why is he in the wheelchair again?
Because he has it twice more. All right, we have one more prediction regardless of the questions that are in chat. So if you're not following, click the follow button. Spend your standard internet units on Ask a Scientist Gaming science questions that put up in chat. The question is regarding the cells in our body. And I will pop this up right now. You are about to face the final boss, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready?
That's right. His name is Mr. Big.
All right, we have a 2-minute question up. The question is, the average person contains more bacteria cells or human cells? Obviously, there is bacteria within your body. The question is, are you more bacteria than human, or are you more human than bacteria?
What?
And there he is, Mr. Big.
What did we put in these beers?
I'll tell you later. Have I recently pooped?
That's a great point.
That changes the number of bacteria. That's
a bowel movement is about 50 to 60% bacteria. FYI.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Gross, right?
That is a lot of bacteria coming out of the body.
Do we have any context on why this guy is basically one of those aliens from The Simpsons?
No, but the advice, what are their names? Krang and Kodos.
Kang and Kodos, yeah.
Yeah. Don't blame me.
I voted for
Krang.
Kodos.
Tara Lux, thank you for the
If
follow.
you can think
Welcome
of
to Ask a Scientist Gaming. You've joined us at an unusual moment when Rob Tomko is trying to win the war on drugs by beating Mr. Big. The way you have to beat this boss is jump and rocket him in the hat.
Are you...
I am not kidding you. That is how you have to do it.
How I can jump like 7 times higher than my body?
You know.
Everything about this is wrong. I love it.
All right, you guys have about 45 seconds. Are we more bacteria or human cells? Use your standard internet units to gamble now. We're leaning towards bacteria cells. Somebody take the dark horse, human cells, gamble against it. Use the odds, play the game.
This is not going well. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, this is the hard part of the game because it is so absolutely jank. MM14Y, thanks, Dr. Tomko. Gotta go study now. This is presumably one of your
What, do you have a quiz tomorrow or something?
Yeah, they asked about the ABC, the
Absiximab, yeah.
Absiximab. But thank you for stopping by. Again, it's a pleasure to have you. We're approaching the end of this game. If anyone has suggestions on people we should raid, go ahead and mention them in chat. Our raid is we're going to bring our viewers to somebody else's channel just for fun. We typically do education viewers, but if you have other suggestions, we are happy to take a look at them.
I am just awful at this.
No worries. If you want help getting the hat off, because it gets easier-ish after that.
I do want help.
All right, I will do this. So if you're at the top of the screen, his tongue doesn't hit you.
His tongue can hit me?
Yep. It's his tongue that he's releasing, actually.
Why does he have so many tongues? There's a lot that doesn't... Yeah, I'm just gonna...
It's been a while since I played this, actually. There it is.
You sunk my battle hat.
So I got rid of his hat. Now you can just rocket.
What do you mean you got rid of his hat? He's still
got rid of his
sunglasses.
glasses. Sorry, and so you can rocket him in the face.
I was not mentally prepared for that at all.
All right, so now it is bullets in the vertebrae, but you can't shoot at the top of the screen. You have to move down. So hold the trigger, so you get bullets, and sometimes you'll hit his. There, you got one of them. So you keep doing that.
Dear Lord.
Oh, Carl Sagan 42 is on. That's fun. He's a virologist that plays Mario Maker, so Carl might be a fun raid, actually.
Sweet.
Rocket Sage, guaranteed to give a solid shout out. Yeah, that's true.
There's nothing weird about this at all.
That's fun.
Get away from me.
All right, so Rob, what's the answer to the question? Average person contains more
Bacteria
cells,
by far.
much more bacteria cells, not just by a little bit, but by a whole lot.
Yo, yeah. You're outnumbered, I think, like 100 to 1, something like that. Oh, his spine exploded.
You did it. All right, go find a door. That's actually a quick Mr. Big kill after the hat was off, or after the glasses was off.
Gold safe
All
card.
right, there's one more question we have. With your medical school hat on, will we be boosting for COVID every 6 months for the rest of our lives? Ooh, do you want to
That's a
weigh in
good
on
question.
that?
So with my... oh, look at all this gold. You know, I wish something like this would happen to me in real life.
So this is civil.
Not the being shot with syringes, but the picking up gold off the street part.
This is civil forfeiture level. So,
What do you mean?
oh, 2302. So I think you're in top 5 of Ask a Scientist gaming guests.
There it is. And I have mad gold. Don't be jealous. Yeah, so I think the short answer is nobody really knows yet. The good news, and I'm hoping this will continue, is that, you know, the most recent variant that has emerged has been much... Ooh, I get to enter my initials. And as is typical for all Tomko males, I will enter ass.
What's crazy is I didn't even have to tell you, but that doubles your score. Yeah, on both the arcade and Nintendo version,
How about
entering
that?
ass doubles your score.
Awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a new record on Ask a Scientist Gaming. Without instruction of any kind, Rob Tomko chose 10.
I thought that was just, you know, sort of like, you know, common...
I mean, that's why they did it, presumably, right? Like, the most common are AAA, ass, or something like USA if you're Billy Mitchell and play Donkey Kong. But
Gotcha.
anyway, congratulations, Rob. You have won the war on drugs. You have beat...
Take that, Reagan.
Yeah, no. Nancy Reagan wrote this game, obviously.
Yeah.
But anyway...
This is what you get for turning a blind eye to the AIDS crisis.
So it goes. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. It's 11:04. Congratulations on your 23-minute win of Narc, as well as beating Mega Man 2. It's been a successful night.
Yeah, not bad.
And thank you all for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you asking questions. That's really what drives the stream forward, so we really appreciate it. And Rob, any parting words for the audience?
If you do drugs that won't end up with you getting shot with needles. That's terrible advice.
Or fighting a giant floating head.
Drugs are dangerous, both prescription and non. So, you know, make sure you know what you're doing. How about that?
No, that's
not good advice either.
No, that's closing wisdom. We'll take it. Thank you again for joining us. Join us again in 2 weeks. Our guest will be Dan Hallinan from Chemical Engineering. He works on electrolytes that transports lithium and like lithium-ion batteries, and he's working to improve battery technology. Yes. So yeah, come back, join us in a couple weeks. Stick around. We're going to do a raid. I think we're going to do a raid of Carl Sagan, a Mario Maker player that I regularly view, who is a virologist, but mostly plays trolls levels and gets destroyed by them. So stick around. Texan, yeah, in 2 weeks, if you guys swing by, it'll be a battery researcher. So cutting edge battery technology, come and ask questions. Until then, thank you again, as always, for swinging by. Until next time, yeah, we'll see you then.